I need my circle. Hi, everybody. Let me know if you can hear me loud and clear. Testing. One, two, three. Happy Friday. Honey, I don't know if I like this lighting. I think I need the ring light, but I gotta turn on my overhead light. I don't know. I look a little bit too pale. Let me see. I have the camera right here in front of me. I don't know. I still look cute though. All right. Hi, everybody. So, listen, panel debate, panel discussion. This is what I do Friday nights. And I have a good panel again tonight, and I'm about to bring them up shortly. So, just a little bit of housekeeping. Um, please like. Um, hit the like button, share the video on all of your social media outlets, share. And oh, I forgot to put the goal, but if you have a question or comment, if you want to send a super chat, you can. It's greatly appreciated. And I guess that's it. But tonight conversation, discussion slash debate, are FBAs systemically held back from the wealth gap to justice? Are we in 2025 systemically held back? And that's a good question to ask. And we could go in all different type of aspects, in society. When we look at public policies, who's representing us or supposed to be representing us in Congress. We have a new administration. And of course, I am going to be talking about current events such as Trump sending National Guards into DC. And now the mayor of DC has sued the Trump administration, and a judge has halted the Trump DOJ, to be exact, from taking over the DC Metro Police. That doesn't mean he can't send National Guards in. They just can't take over the police department. So we're going to dive into that. And I'm going to bring up the guests one by one and have people introduce themselves. As we all know, like these panel debates, I like to bring great minds together and have discussions. I don't like an echo chamber. So I like to bring people in who have different ideology, thoughts, and perspectives on issues, right? So, all right, guys. So let's get started. Let's see. Um, Hi, Andre. I put you up in first.
It's good to be here. Thank you for having me.
So this is my first time meeting you, and I met you through Nora, the new party.
Yeah, shout out to the new party. Great content, great panels over there. Shout out to
Yeah.
Nora. I very much appreciate her.
Yes, I'm always stealing her panel, people, and you're one of them. So introduce yourself to my platform.
Well, my name is Andre Williams. I have a TikTok account, Instagram. I mainly focus on criticizing Black culture, calling out the issues within the Black community in the most harsh and abrasive, aggressive way that you want to look at it. I think it's necessary. People don't like my delivery. I get this all the time. People will say, I agree with you. I don't like your delivery. Well, when I'm looking at the representation of Black people, how we're carrying ourselves in public, how far we've gone over the last 20 years, I'm more disgusted with the delivery of our politicians and entertainers and, these other people. If you don't have a problem with my delivery, we'll have a problem with the reality that we're in. So my entire focus is being as direct as we need to be on solving the issues when it comes to crime, education, and the structure of the household.
Hmm. And may I ask, what is your political party affiliation? Like, what are you registered as?
I'm registered as a Republican, but that's just by default. I'm a nationalist at the end of the day. I'm skeptical of both political parties. I vote what's in my interest. So, if a Democrat comes along and they're America first and they're a nationalist or a populist, I'll vote for them. But if a Republican, which seems to be the default nowadays, is very nationalistic and populistic, I'm going to vote for them. So,
Now, are you a Black nationalist?
I don't really like that. It's a lot of negative that comes with saying Black nationalists because a lot of Black nationalists are. I'm gonna be nice. Um, I'll say they're very eccentric, right? They have a lot of interesting takes that I really wouldn't support. I think it's a lot of garbage that comes out of their mouths. But I'm an American nationalist. I believe in this country, and if you want to put me in the Black nationalist category, you can put me there. But I believe in the betterment of this country that we live in, and of course, the betterment of Black people. at the end of the day as well.
Okay. All right. So let me bring in the second guest. Gavin. Hi.
Hey, what's going on, Dana? How are
Hi.
you doing?
Good. It's been a minute. So reintroduce yourself to the audience.
Well, good evening, everyone. Good evening to the panel. I am Gavin Reshaw here in New Orleans. I am an attorney. I am also currently running as I got to say this. I'm running as well, they took away the independent party here in Louisiana, but I am running for a council member of District E in New Orleans, which has been taking up a lot of my time running as a non political party. It's a pleasure to be here on your show again. I've actually have my own channel, Jibu 2786, and my self-entitled channel I do here. So that's pretty much it.
Okay. Cool. And what is your political affiliation? Like, are you a registered Republican or
Not a political, no party.
no party? Okay.
Right. I was Democrat for a while, and then I had to leave the Democratic Party. I actually officially left last year.
Okay, cool. All
Yeah.
right. Divine.
How am I looking? Am I delayed or is it all good?
No, it's perfect.
Yeah, so it was that virtual background. So at least I know that from now on because that's what had me messed up.
Yes.
Um,
You were here
yeah,
last week, but reintroduce yourself as well.
yeah. My name is Divine Prince. I'm the president of the U.S. Freeman Project. We are a nonpartisan organization dedicated to resurrecting the abandoned missions of the Freeman Bank and the Freedmen's Bureau. Um, that was the last time in this country's history where we had specific legislation for our people designed to ensure our full benefits of our citizenship in this country.
And what political party are you registered as or affiliate yourself with?
I'm independent.
Cool. And let me bring on. Hi, Bread Man. How are you?
What's the damn deal, Dana? How you doing? You looking good tonight.
Thank you. So you were on last week as well.
Yeah.
And briefly reintroduce yourself.
My name is Brad, man. I've been a aspiring comedian for 6 years. my top five comedians, my top five comedians are Richard Pryor, George Carlin, uh, Dave Chappelle, D.L. Hughley, and damn, I forgot my last one. But uh, yeah, and I'm also a content creator. Comedy saved my life, so I'm a very passionate black man. But I was able to find a avenue to channel all of my anger built up over these years, is being stricken with PTSD and just salute to the platform and just having another space to speak. You can follow me on YouTube, Breadman TV. That's Breadman TV. You can also find me on X, Breadman the comedian, and Instagram, Breadman 832. I do not affiliate with a political party. I refuse to pull my panties down in front of the nation, and I consider myself to have the strongest currency as a registered black voter.
Okay.
And I yield.
All right. And wait a minute. I thought I saw Maya. Mia. I don't see Mia though. Okay. So you have another
Oh,
person.
Paul Mooney. Paul Mooney was the last. That was my fifth.
Oh, Paul Mooney. Okay, cool.
Love that. Honestly, I love that.
You said DL Hughley is in your top five?
Now that
Yes,
was an L, but the Paul Mooney, you kind of saved me. I like
I have a
too.
certain I have a certain genre. I like comedians that are able to, bring real issues, channel it, and just kind of make it funny, but also get the message across.
Fair
Yeah.
enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm stand up as well. Paul Mooney, Paul Mooney, Richard Pryor, George Carlin. I was just thinking about them or the tops. Lenny Bruce was also someone who did stuff, but personally, I love Bernie
Mm,
Mac and Robin
yes, sir.
Harris. 'Cause Bernie had stage presence, and I saw he was recently Ari Lennox was recently criticizing him for his jokes. I'm like, this generation is so soft. She wouldn't have survived married with children, let alone Martin
They
Wait a
Lawrence.
don't
minute,
know
wait a
no
minute.
better,
So
Isn't
big
she
coach.
isn't
Wait,
she
hold
like
on, hold on.
Gen
I
she's
don't.
a millennial if I'm not mistaken, so I just want to clarify.
Well, yeah, she probably a young millennial, but I need
Yeah.
for us to get onto the topic.
sure,
All
We
right.
don't claim her Gen Z. My bad, my bad.
I just had to drop that in.
So okay, so tonight I posed a question: are FBAs systemically held back? Right? Um, can
Mhm.
can people mute up? I don't. It's just a slight feedback. I don't know which mic, so I don't feel like pressing buttons. And I may tweak the title a little bit because I do want to talk about Trump and the DC National Guards. Well, bringing in the National Guards in DC. But this is the question, though, the overall theme: are FBA systemically held back from the wealth gap to the justice system? So who wants to answer that question first? Anybody? I'm just going to randomly pick someone.
I'll go. I'll go. Thank you again. Well, to answer it short and sweet, yes. There's always been, especially in this country, of course, the history of racial prejudice and discrimination against blacks. We've seen it in laws that have been acted. Of course, when you look at what happened in this country through slavery and also subsequently with Jim Crow, the laws that were passed like grandfather clauses, to poll tax. Also, the fact when blacks actually could, like my family, who actually could when they tried to own property or did own property, and then subsequently through fraud and even violence and coercion, were forced to turn over their property back. Those are things that have happened. Now we do live in the 21st century, 2025. And I'll say this: America is one of the, if not the only place that I can think of where a person can go from nothing to actually being a millionaire, which is a great thing. But it has its flaws. And of course, Black Americans, foundational Black Americans, have gotten the short end of the stick with a lot of things. And actually, there is what I like to call some barriers and roadblocks that have been a problem with success in this country. Still there are, for instance, I live here in Louisiana. There's a good old boy system that has always been in place with things and policies and procedures that have been going on that has hindered Black people. It's everywhere in this country that has happened. So to answer your question, yes, there's always been that. I mean, let's not forget 60 years ago, almost 60 years ago, they had the Kerner Commission where they found that we have two nations, one Black, one white. That was something that was done. And even today, I believe there was a recent study, I can't think of the name of it, but they even found how Black Americans also still inhibit discrimination in the workplace and hiring and so forth, with policing as well. So it's always been that way. And that's because of some of the culture that we have that's been promoted. We have to remember there are people who still, I talked about the good old boy system. There are still people from back in the day who have passed down that type of garbage and rhetoric to their children and grandchildren, and they continue to pass that down. And we also, even though we get started, we have they have a 400-year head start than us with things. So it's like the old saying, old money. They've always, certain groups, certain families who've always had old money and so forth. They are been in this business in particular, a certain area, and Black folks try to get into that particular business, like the maritime industry, for instance. That is something, especially here, I've noticed that's something I've had to try to get in, been difficult to do. Now, that doesn't mean I'm going to give up and just blame everything, woe is me. No, I'm still going to hustle. I'm still going to find a way to do what I have to do to provide for my family. And that's how I think we all should do it. I have a very strong entrepreneurial spirit, Dana, with things. So there are ways we can get out and move forward. But yes, those are issues that Black America still face with. And, Dr. Claude Anderson in his book, Black Labor, White Wealth, he laid that out. And especially, I know we're going to be talking about some of the issues with immigrants, how some people can come over into this country and yet, like I'll give an example. He made an example about Arabs in Detroit, especially their neighborhood and community, how it was only less than, I want to say, not even 1% of the population in Detroit in 2000, but they controlled majority of the wealth in the black neighborhoods. They had grocery stores and gas stations and so forth that they owned. So those are all things we struggle. I know I'm just about done. So, because I see your
Yeah,
hand
that was
moving, but yeah, those are things we struggle with. But yeah,
yes is yes.
that answers the
Right,
question. That's my
right.
opinion on that.
I wanna
So
go to Andre. Wait, real quick, Andre. Mia, can you hear us? Mia? I don't think she can. All right. Go ahead, Andre. Andre is frozen.
Hey,
Why
I'm frozen. You see that? I don't know what the hell that's about. I'm just frozen with this smirk on my face. Look at this jackass.
hope it's I hope it's not this thing. I don't know. I
I've
probably
never had this before, honestly. Should I come back in and should I do that?
yeah,
it's the black nationalists messing
Oh
with your
man, they
screen.
hate me so much. Do you think I should just refresh the page and come back in? You just go to someone else. I'll respond.
yeah, go out and come back in.
Okay.
Divine?
Yeah, so I'll be brief since Gavin pretty much laid it out, so I don't get the wrap it up sign. Um, yeah, the short answer, and I think it's not even up for debate. It's yes, right? And the one thing I'll add to everything that Gavin said, because I agree with, it's always when this conversation comes up, people like to frame it as either or, right? It's like, well, either we held back systemically, and you can't do anything with your life, or it's the opposite, where since you can do stuff with your life, then there is no systemic marginalization or targeting about people, and it's just not either or, right? So two things can be true. And the one thing I'll add on, like I said, to close my portion out, unless they don't come back in time, is this: there is not one town, entity, or institution that failed in the hands of foundational Black Americans because of mismanagement. All of them, every single one, was the victim of governmental, either at the state or federal level, targeting for sabotage, dismantling, and destruction. So that right there, and that is a undeniable fact.
Breadman. Are
Uh,
Black Americans
yeah,
systemically held
yes.
back?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yes. I would say no, but it's a two-part answer. I'll try to be as quick as I can. I sent you some information behind the scenes, and no statistics stand true. So when you ask that question, I had to vehemently say no. In 1980, only 50%, roughly 50% of the Black community was able to graduate from high school. I looked up 2024, the number has shot to 81% of the Black community graduates in high school. So that means that no matter how many, so I don't call them YNs, I call them young men. No matter how many young men they show y'all out here with the switches, the numbers don't lie. 8 out of 10 of them are graduating high school. When you go to college, it gets even worse. In the 1980s, only roughly 20%, 22% of Black people were able to attend college. Y'all remember that whole commercial? It was heartwarming. The little boy saved up all his pennies, nickels, and dimes, 6 years old. And when his brother graduated high school, he took it to his brother. He said, "This is for you, because you are the first person to go to college in our family." It was 22%. That means 2 out of 10 Black people went to college. 2024, the number jumped to 64. 64% of Black people that are graduating are going to college. So we are competing in a high level, no matter what the propaganda shows. That if you know anything about sports, when you're in a minority or you're considered the so-called weaker or disadvantaged team, and the game is damn near tied at halftime, and they are considering you a threat, you're winning, and that's what the Black community is doing. Now, on the other side, I'll say, politically, we are held back. We are what I would say handicapped. Um, a lot of people get mad at this word. I ain't gonna say it because it's on YouTube. Um, we handicap ourselves politically by constantly, pulling our panties down and doing these people's work. Our hardest currency is just being a black voter. If you're not a politician, if you're not campaigning, you can't call yourself a Republican or a Democrat. You're not part of a gang. You have the highest currency ever, and that's being a black voter. But for decade upon decade upon decade, we have handicapped ourselves and basically did all of the brunt work, all of the hard work, for these parties on both sides. And then when it's time to cash in and get your coins, none of them are going to honor what you deserve because you've worked for them basically for free. So that's why I feel like we are handicapped or held back, and it's to our own despise. With that, I yield.
Right. Just do a quick test. Mia, can you hear us? No, we can't hear Mia.
Oh my goodness.
Wow. All right. Okay, so we could see Andre. So Andre, you could go ahead and answer the question.
I'm sure I'm going to have the most unpopular opinion here. Well, I think that Black Americans are held back by their own actions. I mean, we're held back because we don't really focus on education. We have a very dysfunctional household. I don't think there's systematic things holding us back. I think that's a lie. I don't believe in this 400-year head start garbage. I think that's completely idiotic to even bring up. If that's the case, then it is what it is. Who cares? Move on from it. The past is the past. Things have all happened. The terrible things have happened in history through every people. We acted slavery was the greatest thing that ever happened. Well, I would say the greatest in terms of its, the magnitude of it. The worst thing that ever happened to anyone in the world, no, it was not. Slavery was a common practice throughout all of human history and more brutal places as well. At the end of the day, we are our own worst enemy. We kill ourselves at a higher rate than anyone else. Per capita, we commit more crime in our areas. And we tend to vote for things that are not directly in our interest. We promote things like reparations. It's something we've already gotten multiple times. We've already received reparations in various different forms. We're very uneducated, unmotivated, and not a strong people like we once were a long time ago. We were very motivated and not united people who wanted the best for each other. Today, we don't want the best for each other. We want everything wrong and everything to be in our favor to the expense of everyone else. Very selfish, very self-centered, very entitled. So all the problems that we have in our community is due to us, no one else. Immigrants come over here, they do well. Africans come over here, they do well. The people coming from Palestine or wherever, they're going through horrible things and they come over, they do what they do well, and they make things happen. But for some reason, we're going to talk about this 400-year head start. Well, we got a 400-year head start from all these people coming off the boat, and yet we still do absolutely nothing. Schools are failing, and our women look like crap, and our men are weak and absent. So there's a lot of work we have to do. I'm getting really tired of hearing the old, I'm not going to say anything. I'm probably young. Me and me are probably the youngest here, but this is a very old mindset. These complaints about what happened in the 60s and what happened in, 160 years before any of us were thought of. Who cares about that? Move on from it. What are we doing today? What is our life going to be 160 years from now? What's our life going to be 6 years from now? We have a big problem. And until we solve it, until we take accountability and be honest, and say, hey, we have these issues and it's really no one else's fault but our own, we're going to continue to be at the bottom. This is why a lot of people, and I'm excluding white people's their input, looking at all the other minorities, they have no respect for us for a reason. And it's because of us and how we carry ourselves. So that's all I got to say.
All right. I do disagree with some of the things that you said, as far as you said that we kill each other at a higher rate than any other group.
We do.
Can I
We do
rebut?
per capita. We look at the crime, look at the murder rates in our communities. It's very true. Anyone can look it up per capita what the crime statistics are. This is why we're seeing the National Guard go into these areas, which need to be even more in predominantly Black areas. We need more National Guard there.
So can I just say, when a person leaves with per capita, that's trying to cut the dope because you're
No, it's
losing.
not. That's
Excuse
mathematics.
me, sir. I just
That's
want to rebuttal.
mathematics, sir.
Yes, sir. It's mathematics.
Mathematics.
Well, come on. They're getting emotional.
2 plus 2. Hold on. If 2 plus 2 equals 4, we're going to call it that. We're not going to say, well, it's 5, actually. That's the problem with Black people. They do that. But go ahead.
Look, he already getting emotional. Just let me answer the question.
I'm not emotional.
Rebuttal, bro.
I'm not emotional. I like cutting off people who don't know what they're talking about.
Okay, well, let me press mute because I already see what's going
Hold on
on.
for a second, Brett, man. So you talked, Andre, and I'm gonna give chance for people to rebuttal. So when people are talking, don't interrupt them because no one didn't interrupt you. So we just take turns, so that way
That's true. Go
everybody
ahead.
is heard. Okay, go ahead, Brad, man, and then Gavin, you wanted to rebuttal as well.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I come from an athletic background, and my coach used to always tell me the film don't lie and the numbers don't lie, the stats don't lie. The numbers show you that white America commits the majority of crime in America due to being the minority. And so when somebody leads with the word per capita, that's trying to water down the blue magic. And I see everything. And when I hear black people talking like that, it sickens and it hurts my heart because you fall for the oopty wop. That is just talking points. It's a remix. It's a tired ass DJ. White folks, especially when you talk about sexual predators, sex crimes, yes, 85%, over 85% commit the crimes in America. When you're talking about crime overall, it's 70%. So if you want to remix it and water down the dope, then that's on you. But I see everything. They commit the majority of crimes in America because they are the majority. And when you say per capita, you're just trying to step on the dope.
Let me respond to that because this is why we need to put more focus on education. And we can see with the older generations that are less educated, Gen Z, younger millennials, go to school, go into the military, get your GI Bill, use your things at the disposal that you have. Because we've got to be educated than these, people like Breadman over here. It's very sad that I have older people that can barely do math. So when we look at per capita, what that means, right, per head, per person, yes, in its totality, there are more white people in the country. Therefore, there are going to be more
Thank
white
you.
people doing.
Game
Hold on,
over.
hold on, hold on. Stop. There's no game over. There's no game over. There are more white people in the country in its totality, right? That's something that is very important. There are more white people on food stamps. But guess what? Per capita, you're more likely to run across a black person that has a
Thank
criminal
you
record or
again.
been in crime. That's no thank you. You're still not listening. It's more black people who are out here doing these crimes and doing the stuff that you see in the
I was
black community.
more
That's
than
something that
less.
Oh,
when you're looking
Birdman,
at
I
per
was the
capita,
less.
you can't
Okay,
Birdman, when you're
my
looking at
apologies.
per
He
capita, per
say
person,
you
he
per
put
cannot
stepping
person,
on the dope.
Birdman, listen, per
you can't
capita, if
interrupt.
you're looking at
Interrupt.
30% of the white community doing crime or on food stamps compared to 60 or 70% of the black community, that's a big difference. That's a big
So
difference when
you
you
just
break it
lied.
down. So it's
You
not
just
about a
lied.
lie, dude. That's how when we look at GDP per nation, right? We can have a
It's
nation that has a G.
actually
Hold on,
it's actually
hold
Let
on,
him
Birdman,
finish.
Birdman,
Let him
calm
finish.
down. You can have a nation that has a GDP of say $1 billion, and a nation that has a GDP of say, let's put it this way: they both have $1 billion, but the population, right? If one has more people in it, guess what? And they have more people, and the wealth is not distributed properly. Then guess what? They can have a nation that has a billion, say 300 million people, and they have $1 billion GDP. Well, the wealth, what's the average wealth, per that person? It could be $4,000, $10,000, whatever. Now, if you look at a nation that has the same amount, has more, or I think not even that, has less population, but it has $1 billion GDP. Guess what? If they have more wealth between those people, that means that the second nation's richer than the first one. As simple as that. You can compare. These are things you can look up. When we explain per capita black people, they get so mad because it shows us that we are a problem. We have a problem in our own community. You want to bring up the sexual assault numbers? Let's bring up the child abuse numbers. When we look at the black community. Let's look at how many children are in CPS. Let's talk about these things. You always want to jump to white people when we need to talk about black people. I really don't care what white people are doing. I'm black at the end of the day. I
they
live in Detroit.
dominate
I listen. I
child
live in Detroit, and guess what? The people
crimes.
who dominate are predominantly black. The schools I went to, predominantly black. The people around me are predominantly black. When I served in the military, I served in predominantly black units. Guess what? Every problem that we have is solely due to us. Doesn't mean that other people don't do things. Doesn't mean that other people don't have their problems. But when it comes to us, we always want to avoid accountability and always avoid the problems and jump to what white people are doing. Let white people do whatever the fuck they're going to do. At the end of the day, I care about my household and my community because that's where I live at. And guess
10
what?
second,
We live in
10
this
second
country.
rebuttal.
We live in this country together with white people. And guess what? Murder is far bad. Murder, drugs, and poison is far
Exactly.
worse than
All right.
sexual
So
assault. I'm going to be honest with you.
Give me a 20-second rebuttal.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Salute to you and your education, sir. But the numbers don't lie. So if I'm growing up in a house full of roaches, pay attention. And most of the roaches are the small kind, not the big cockroaches. I'm going to be focused on getting rid of the crime, the real problem, the infestation. And it's only people like you that can't see the basic bare numbers. You just did a tap dance. And I yield.
So I did a tap dance by bringing up basic mathematics. You're talking about the infestation and the crime. Well, the crime is in our communities. If we're committing more crime per
Majority
capita, hold
white.
on. If we're committing more crime per capita, then we're the infestation. You know, when I go to Billy and Tommy and I look at the shitty crime that they do, of course they have their problems. And you know they have their issues, but when I come home to my community and it's trash everywhere, the schools are failing, the households are raising single mothers raising dysfunctional children in dysfunctional households, we have to acknowledge that that's a big problem. And I'm not even exclude white people. Let's look at almost every other racial group that comes in this country, from every demographic. They're performing a lot better than us. Immigrant students perform a lot better than black children in schools. That's a big fact. Tons of studies on that.
Give me a rebuttal.
Yeah.
No, give me a rebuttal
A lot
now.
of these FBAs always want to say these things, but they never have anything to
You
back
should
up because
move
they
like
need
the
to realize
majority
that
of
they're
blacks.
not
You
in a
should
strong
move.
position. Hold on, hold on, hold on,
You
hold on,
should move
hold on,
like
hold
the
on,
majority
hold
of
on,
black
hold on.
people
I'm
and
not going
better
to
your
move on the
life,
majority of
sir.
black people.
I
I'm not
feel
going to do that.
bad
Hold on,
for
hold on,
I
hold
feel
on.
bad that you living in a house full of
Whatever your
roaches.
name is, Birdman. Let me tell you this. My name's Andre Williams. I don't move with the majority of anybody. I'm my own
Well,
person,
that's what
right?
the
I'm my
majority of
own
blacks do,
guy.
sir. It's
And
only
that's
it's
not what
only
the majority.
point
Let me tell
three.
you this. Here's
Only
what the majority of
0.3%
blacks
of
do.
blacks
Hold on.
commit
Here's
the
the
crimes
majority of
that
what
you're talking
blacks do.
about.
Here's the majority of
All right, hold on for a second, guys. Hold on, because I want to get other.
IQ and you refuse to move, sir.
Hold on, Brad man. Stop.
Majority of the black successful
Right,
blacks move.
Brad man,
That's
stop.
not true at all.
I need to get other people who want to comment. Devon, do you want to comment? Gavin, go ahead, Devon. Do you want to say something?
Yeah, I mean, this is just comical, and I'm not saying that this is what's happening with Breadman, but what I will say is when you hear these talking points, you just gotta be mindful not to be triggered, right? Like you already know what it is, like you know what he's gonna say.
Yeah.
Like I didn't want to do the Eminem from 8 Mile, right? And say everything he was gonna say before he said it. But as soon as he introduced himself, I already knew what he was going to say because they all say the same thing, right? And it's like he's trying to make it like it's this this generation divide, right? He tried to throw a slick shot at Bradman and say, oh, yeah, it's these older people. But guess what? Andre sounds like Larry Elder. Andre sounds like Thomas Sowell. Andre sounds like right wing lapdogs for right wing white supremacy from young to old. It's the same talking point. Like per capita, here's the trick with per capita, right? Per capita works when you're comparing two groups that are virtually the same except for numbers, right? But we have never had the same outcomes or had the same living experience as the people he's trying to compare us to per capita, right? And so when you understand that crime is about proximity and crime is based on socioeconomic status, but him and his ilk take that and try to pathologize that onto foundational Black American culture, that's where it all falls apart. And secondly, to his second point that I'll address before I take a breath, because I can do this all night. This is easy work with Andre. Here's what we have to understand, because this is the lie that we've been told in this country. We've been told that this country is based on or was built on racism, right? And so what happens is that what that does is that conflates all quote unquote Black people together, right? And it says, oh yeah, this country was just built on hatred of all Black people because that's what racism is. But when you understand that this country was built on anti-foundational Black American hate, you understand why when they try to throw in our face, oh, well, these other minority or these other immigrant groups come over and they do well. The country wasn't built on marginalizing them. They are buffer groups. So coming over and being elevated by white supremacy is not a flex. Coming over here and getting a good job is not a flex, because here's what I will tell you. None of those immigrant groups, none of those buffer groups are doing anything that foundational Black Americans have not done long before they got to the country and are still doing now. What people like Andre do is they take the top echelon of the groups that they're looking at and compare it to the bottom of our group. But when we do apples to apples, orange to oranges, and you start comparing the top of whatever group you want to name and you want to compare with the top of foundational Black Americans, it ain't even a contest. And that's the issue that we have with this rhetoric that comes from, Andre, because he claims that he doesn't care about what white people do, right? But these talking points are catered to make white people comfortable because it lets the system off the hook for what it's done and for the results that it has produced. And so all the per capita, all the pathologizing of culture, they all sound like that from young to old. So it's not this generation divide, and I'll land here. It's just their talking points that they've been passed down through generation to generation. And Andre is just the youngest one on the panel, spouting the same thing that Larry Elder and Thomas Sowell does.
Let me respond to that real quick.
Well,
So, Larry Elder and
Let me respond. Hold on.
go ahead.
With my Mia. Mia, are you there?
I am here. It worked, everybody. I am so sorry. I am not good with technology. I mean, I made it through college because I kept asking everybody, how do you work this computer? I am so not good at it.
Educated demographic.
But I figured it out. Finally, I'm here. Party to the party.
And you know what? Just briefly introduce yourself to the audience.
All right. Hi, everybody. My name is Mia, not Maya. I am a content creator on TikTok primarily. I do dabble a little bit in X. I generally do a couple nights as a panelist for the new party with Nora and Gray. So that's how I met Dina, and that's how I met Andre. And yeah, for a little bit of background, I am 35. I have 2 children, and I live in the Northeast. I live closer to Canada than I do New York City. So when you think New England, that's where I live primarily.
And what is your political affiliation, if you have one?
Yeah, so my political affiliation would be, I would be closest to libertarian, if anything.
Wow.
Okay, interesting. All right. So welcome, Mia. Welcome. All right. So I want to get back to the conversation. Who else wanted to? I think Avin wanted to say something. You said,
Gavin, go ahead, bro. You want to say something? I'll get mine at the end because I know I'm going to be right regardless. Go ahead.
In your dreams. Let me just state first off, I was just listening to him. That was when he stated that reparations was paid out for Black folks. I don't know why it was an issue. That was a flat out lie. That has never happened. I don't know where you've read your history at, sir, or where you've gotten it from. There's never been any institution in the United States that has approved reparations for Black Americans in any way, shape, or form. There have been, if you're talking about, and I don't know what you're referring to, but let's say if you're talking about Civil Rights Act, Voting Rights Act, or anything like that, those are laws that have been passed that they did for discrimination, and those actually have been watered down. That applies to everybody. That is not specific for Blacks, but there has been reparations for Jewish groups. There has been by some business. I'm sorry, not yes. There has been. You're shaking your head. There has been reparations for Jewish groups by certain companies because there were some American companies that had benefited. You're sitting there laughing. It's fine. That had
companies that gave them a whole state, big coach. They gave them a whole state.
Yeah, hold up, brother. Let me finish. I don't want to interrupt. I didn't interrupt you. Just I agree. We on the same page. I get it. But no, it's okay. Japanese Americans have gotten reparations, and I'm sure when you say, "Hey, get over it," you would not say that to the Jewish people who still continue to talk about. Oh, you would actually do it to the Holocaust. Okay. I don't think you would, especially now. And speaking of which,
I have,
because you mentioned. Well, wait, you're interrupting me. Please let me finish. With the culture, when we talk about criticizing the culture and so forth, you talk. Who owns the record labels that we see with hip hop? No, it's not Black people. It's not Black people that own the record labels. They're not in charge of distribution and sales. No, they're not. What Black person own? So Black people run Universal Records, Def Jam Records. That's not Black. That was so Russell Simmons started that. Yeah. No, but
Andre.
Well, it's clear. So he's.
I'll respond in a second, but go ahead, Gavin. Continue your talking points.
We don't control that. Just like we don't bring in any planes that come in with drugs. It came up in the 1990s that there were members of the Central Intelligence Agency that was involved in drug trafficking. That has been documented. That's not African Americans, Black Americans, or foundational Black Americans who control that. Now, like I say again, I am not a person, and of course, yes, we know the stuff that's going on in our communities and so forth. I clean up my communities. I'm involved doing it. That's why I'm running for office, and that's what we are doing. However, I just find it interesting and sad that a Black person is up here actually condemning his own people and saying, well, I don't care about what white folks do, yet you're complaining about some of the things that they have actually done to us and put into the community. Now, I don't sit up and cry over spilled milk. Yeah, you're laughing because you know the truth hurts. But I don't cry over spilled milk. It is what it is. But at the same time, we have to hold everybody accountable. America is falling apart, period. America has a moral problem. And it's not just based off of skin color. I have seen white Americans attack white Americans. I've seen Chinese Americans attack Chinese. Same thing. Arabs versus Arabs. You see that everywhere around the world. Since you want to bring up, well, slavery is not indicative just to black people, it's not. You're correct. But chattel slavery was, which is what slavery was here in the United States.
All right.
Crime,
Oh,
yeah.
I'm sorry. No, you're 30
No,
seconds.
I'll just say this. Yes, crime is indicative of where you live. There is such, people kill people based off of proximity. People rob people based off proximity. That's a part of it.
Right.
And I know, and I've seen this before. I know, again, this is stuff that's happened, but you have someone someone like this, just gentleman who's making his remarks, and basically, I had to check that because there has been no I'm still shocked. You said there's been reparations given out to black folks. Where I need you to cite the law. Tell me the act that was passed, because if you're talking about the 40 acres and a mule, and I'm ending on this. Well, Abraham Lincoln had approved it, but then the next president, Andrew Johnson, reversed it. So that was never given.
So let him
You're gonna say welfare.
do a 30 do a 30
I
second.
was going to say Barack Obama, but
30 seconds. I got like 2-3 people that responded.
Okay, all right.
You know?
So
That's the whole thing. I'm the only one here, so I think it is fair that a little bit of credit goes to me. I'm the only one here that's having
the only one. We all black. Red flag.
All right, so go ahead.
How is it a red flag? I said I'm the only one with a dissenting view. I didn't say I'm the only one here.
You didn't say that. You said I'm the only one.
Well, you can start talking over so you couldn't hear it. Maybe if you clean out your ears.
Can y'all hear me?
Well, yeah, I'm trying to.
Can y'all hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear.
Oh, okay. So can you just
get my
just hush for a second? Like I'm not
Go
gonna
ahead.
talk over nobody. Do a rebuttal, and I want Mia to answer the question. I want her to get in on the conversation.
I have a question. Why don't I answer? Because I feel like being placed in the middle, I am probably actually in the middle. I feel like I can see kind of both sides. I feel like I would be a good buffer right now. I think we all need a little bit of a buffer.
Yes, go ahead.
So what is the question? I came in a little bit late. I've heard some other views. So what is the exact prompt you want me to answer?
So the question is one of the topics. The question is: are Black Americans systemically held back?
Yes, we do have a history of systemically being held back. I mean, that's a fact. Now, in 2025, are we still held back? I would say it all depends on where you live. I feel like there is some people have better access to education due to property taxes, which means you'll learn a little bit more and the quality of education will be a little bit better, which makes you a little bit a step up opposed to people who live with less property taxes available. They don't get as good of education, if that makes sense. So in certain ways, depending on where you live, you can systemically, by education, be a little bit held back. But I think as a whole in 2025, you are able to go to college, you're able to have a credit card, you're able to buy a house. I mean, you're able to kind of keep up with your peers and other races.
Okay. 1 second. All right. So with that, everyone don't have to agree with everything, but I'll answer the question: are Black Americans systemically held back in 2025? No. Are we behind when it comes to generational wealth? Yes. Is there still a problem with the justice system? Yes. Do we have good representation? No. We do not, and that's a problem. And so I am going to blame our government, systemic, but I'm also going to blame Black Americans today, because there should be no excuse on why we are not organizing to get the bad politicians out voting good ones in. And even if you vote them in, you know, why are you not? Where's your agenda? Are you advocating for public policies where you live at locally? So there are a lot of things we could be doing, and all of Americans are just lazy when it comes to governing themselves, right? But specifically with Black Americans, we are behind because of systemic disenfranchisement, but because there are a lot of advantages that we have today, that there's no excuse on why we can't progress. Now, one of the reasons why, and the reason why I do blame Black Americans, because you do have the Pan Africans, the older generations and the newer ones who are linked up with theNcobras and the NARCs and the IBWs. When we're talking about reparations, they want to include all of the diaspora, African diaspora, whether it's South America, definitely the continent of Africa, or the Caribbean.
Mhm.
And that's a problem, to where we, especially the newer generations, whether you call yourself FBA, freedman, Negro, doesn't matter. We are saying we need to focus on getting reparations for Black Americans, foundational Black Americans only. So our own people do a disservice for Black Americans. We can't continue to just blame everything on a white man. But because we are far behind, especially when it comes to wealth, it is a harder climb. And as far as the immigrants, they come over here, they get all types of resources and help, recourse, and everything to get an economic uplift. To whereas we have not, which is why I voted for Trump, because of the illegal migrants, to close the border, because the Democrats were just giving everything, not just to immigrants, but to illegals. So, and it wasn't giving anything to Americans, and definitely not Black Americans in these sanctuary cities. So historically, we are systemically held back, but we really can't keep saying, well, the white man, because we could really take advantage of progressing today. Like, there's no excuse that we cannot progress. And we are, because we have people like Devon, what you're doing in New York. I had Sway Me on. Gavin, you're a lawyer. Everyone is doing different things, and I call it the talented 10th. But the majority of Black Americans, you know, to a certain degree, we at a certain point, we are going to need to get on one accord, whether it's for reparations, restitutions, or anything else that, you know, we need to progress for our group.
Yeah, and reparations is, it's a hot topic for a lot of people. But it's 2025. The odds of us getting reparations, especially cash reparations, is absolutely never going to happen. And we all need to agree on reparations, who gets them, and in what context. So the biggest reason that Black Americans and other, and Hispanics are behind when it comes to the wealth gap is because we have unequal access to assets. So we don't know about IRAs, about Roth IRAs, about cash management accounts, which are places to hide your money, to invest in all of these things. The Caucasian families invest at a much higher rate, which is why their wealth is skyrocketing, because they have actual tangible assets, whether it's property, whether it's investment accounts, whether it's anything like this. And this is something that a lot of people don't really know about, especially people in our community. So, I mean, if we're going to do reparations, they have to be in the form of a cash management, IRA, investment account, because that is the only way we're going to close the wealth gap. So it has to be something, but it also has to be something that closes that wealth gap, because that is the only difference between us, is the unequal asset. We just don't have equal access to these assets like some of the Caucasian households have.
Go ahead, Devon.
I was going to try to respond to the earlier points.
Yeah,
I want to
It ain't too late.
far away from
It ain't too
my
late.
responses to these people.
It ain't too late.
Respond to,
Wait, hold on a second. Devon, did you want to rebuttal to Mia?
You the host, so you let me know if I can go now.
No, go. So if somebody want to rebuttal, just jump in and rebuttal. I just don't want people cutting each other off. But just,
I want to give a rebuttal, but okay.
Yeah, no, I don't want. Yeah, I don't want to hold back from. We got to hear this wisdom that Andre was going to drop. But
Yeah,
but just to rebut what Mia, right? Not my Mia.
Yeah,
Mia
you're
said,
good.
okay, good, Mia. So yeah, it's just so both you and I. Well, I don't know Mia to say I love her, but you know I love you, Dana. But Dana, you were saying that in 2025 we're not held back, but then you listed systemic, uh, systemic, roadblocks, right? So I think, like again, I think we have to get out of this thing of either or, right? Like I think we all understand that we have autonomy to attempt to achieve and accomplish things despite the systemic barriers, right? Because the systemic barriers, we know, I think most of us will agree that they were once there. Some of us believe that they no longer exist or they stopped at some point. But I am of the mindset that just because something stopped does not mean its consequences are over. And it did not stop, in my opinion, right? And so I just wanted to point that out. But also to what Mia just said, um, a couple of things. One, she said that the odds of reparations are zero. And then she went on to say, well, we got to decide what reparations is going to look like. So either it's zero or it's something that can happen and we just got to figure out what it's going to be. Right. So I would say that to what she just said. And also, again, just pointing out to help buffer the point that I'm making, and I believe Bradman and Gavin are making, is that yes, I think what's happening is that people are looking at the symptoms and not going to the root. So she's saying, yeah, we don't have access to these assets and to these things that white people have. Then you have to ask yourself why. And why is because the systemic and systematic deprivation, right? So we're never going to just having access to it at this point in the game does not close the racial wealth gap. It's a report done by Dr. Darity, 9 myths about closing the racial wealth gap. Something that I would definitely implore everyone take a chance to read. And so a lot of these things like education is good. I'm not anti-education. Education does not close the racial wealth gap, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so when we talk about access to these assets, that alone would not close the racial wealth gap, because then we have to talk about the issue of wealth. And wealth, especially when we talk about white people's wealth or wealth of white America, was largely built when foundational Black Americans were not even on the monopoly board.
So
So
let me say something to Devon, because so when I was saying, yes, historically, systemically, there were laws, there were policies. And when I'm saying today, there is no excuse for me to say I can't get ahead because I'm Black or because of whatever law, because those laws are no longer in existence. Now, the problem that I have when I talk about Black Americans is if I'm poor, and even middle class, and
Mhm.
I have to work, and I have kids and stuff like that, do I have time to organize where I live at? I have to make time. Can people mute up? I don't know where the noise is coming from. Not sure. Do I have time to organize where I live at, right?
Mhm.
Is everybody muted for a second?
I'm unmute, so maybe let me mute up and you tell me if that's the feedback.
Okay. So if I'm not organizing, if I'm not going to City Hall, if I'm not knocking on my state, county, city representative door, if I'm not creating a community list of people, if we are not talking together as a community to say, okay, we need this in our community, we need this in our libraries, the streets need to be cleaned up, blah blah blah, if we are not talking politics as a community, then we're going to stay in the same position. And I see a lot of people are not doing that. And this is for majority of Americans, but we're just specifically talking about Black Americans. So there is a lack of initiative mindset that is going on, because if, like, I was doing an X space on Tuesday and the guy was like, well, we need to be on these X spaces talking about solutions and planning. I said, wait a minute. I said, how are we going to plan about solutions when you live in another city, probably across the country in another state, and I live in Ohio and you may live in California? We are not organizing with each other. If you are not going to your city hall and asking these council people, let me see the 10-year plan that you have for this city, because they all have it. If you are not organizing with your neighbors, getting emails, getting numbers, having weekly, monthly meetings, or figuring out, okay, we need an agenda because we need XYZ, or organizing for policies or whatever the case, if you're not doing that where you are living at, don't come talk to me about, oh, we need a plan and we need solutions, because you're not taking the initiative to do anything where you live at. And I'm seeing that a lot. People talk a lot, but they're not doing. So that's what I mean. So there's not a white man that's literally holding you back as it was once upon a time, or public policies. And when I'm putting accountability on Black Americans, are you taking the initiative to do what you got to do to make where you live at a better place?
I got you. So I'll end with this. So we, I don't want to hog the mic. Yeah. So I would say, so obviously with all that, I agree, because you already know. You know that all the things that you listed, I am doing, right, and organizing others to do in our area. So that's with already,
And then
without.
I know the pushback that you're getting from Black people, the Pan Africans.
Right, 100%. But so that's a great place to land. I'll land there. Is that here, and this is what I'm saying, right? So I'm doing all that I'm doing, right? But that still doesn't negate the fact that there are systemic challenges that are holding us back. And so what happens is that we can't get into the easy pitfall of saying, oh yeah, well, those Black Pan Africans are the ones that's doing it, so it's Black people holding us back. No, we got to understand what and who those Black Pan Africans are. Those are the gatekeepers that are installed by left-wing white supremacy, in the fight that I'm having. So yes, I could blame Black people, right, for the symptom, or I could blame the symptom and the root. And the root is left-wing white supremacy that has propped them up to target our community, so that they make what I'm trying to do that much harder, because they understand they really don't want our people to get in the game in the way that other groups are allowed, keyword allowed, to get in the game.
I accept that.
Let me respond to all this. Because, it's like clown hour at this point. I'm gonna go back from the beginning with Divine, whatever his name is. I think that's your name. I don't want to Divine, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So, everything you talked about, you didn't bring up statistics. I brought up statistics about per capita. When Black people dismiss per capita, it just shows a lack of education, that they just can't do basic mathematics. I'd say run around. I would say a reach around, really, because you're screwing off the people who are, who live in these communities and see the crime and see the failing schools. And like I said, that's solely due to us. You could talk about the history. The history is, of course, history. We know what happened, but it does not have an effect on us today in such profound way that many people think. Now, this was the 1980s. I'd be very much in agreement. Like, there's a lot of stuff still going on. The residual effects of Jim Crow ending, and of course, the mindset of people who are resisting that mentally or even illegally. Of course, we can't deny that. But here in the 2020s, moving to the 2030s, no. There's more opportunity, more wealth for us. The problem is we don't want to take advantage of that. And that's why the immigrants are coming over. I don't like the immigrants coming over. I believe in a 50-year moratorium on illegal immigration and a mass deportation of all illegal immigrants. I really don't care. But when we look at it, these people come over here and they work hard. Those who do the legal process and come over here legally, yeah, they take advantage of all that. Do I not like it? I don't. But guess what? They do it. So what are we going to do about it? Sit back and cry and complain about systematic racism, which is non-existent. There's no systematic racism today. Was there? Yes, most certainly. And there's no white supremacy today. If there was white supremacy, you wouldn't be on a panel or being on television or being in any governmental position talking in the way that a lot of people do about white people. You wouldn't be able to, have a podcast or a television show saying that I hate white people. You wouldn't be able to walk around with a t-shirt that says, we pro-Black and this is Black America and it's about us, bro. I see this all over Detroit. So, when you got that, you wouldn't have predominantly Black cities in the way that they are and the way they run. So when we look at that, most of us live in these areas. And yes, crime is based on proximity. That's very true. No one's going to argue against that. But when we look at crime in our areas, we commit more crime than anyone else in the country per capita. That is something true. Anybody can look that up. Now, on to Gavin's point. I think Gavin is a prime example of, soon to be failed politicians that will do nothing for Black people and do nothing for Americans in general. And it's sad that we have just another voice of failure coming into the the swamp of American politics, especially Black American politics. You talked about 400-year head start, which is just ridiculous. I mean, at the end of the day, who cares? Everyone is going to have a head start. That's just how human development has worked. We look at various different continents and people, continents and different people and how they developed throughout history. There was one time Asians were dominating and technologically more advanced than Europeans and so on. And, there's always going to be a point in history when one civilizational state, as we're moving into that direction, into the 21st civilizational states, are going to be more dominant than the other. So that's just always going to happen. That's just human ability, human development at a certain pace. But when we get down to what you said about reparations, the welfare is a big thing. Affirmative action is a big thing. The various different civil rights acts are a big thing. Those are reparations. Reparations doesn't come in a monetary form. It just can't come in a monetary form. It doesn't come just in a monetary form. It comes in all different forms.
So you're saying being treated like a human is
You look up the definition.
reparations?
You look up the definition of reparations. It comes in multiple different forms. And there's been a lot of work being done, a lot of sacrifice that whites, Latinos, Native Americans, almost everyone in this country has done for Black people, and we can't get it together. And this is why people have Black fatigue. This is why Black fatigue has been growing. People are tired of Black people making excuses and not taking accountability. This is why we're seeing a lot of people become very popular with this rhetoric, Black and white. People outside of those two different groups, Asian, Arab American, the two groups of people that live the closest to us, separate from whites, they're tired of the constant excuses, the crime, discrimination that we give to them, the racism that we put out in our community. And we have a lot of Black people that don't want to acknowledge that. We want to sit back and cry about what other people have done to us in the past, but what we do in our communities, you can't, if you're white living in a Black community, you're not going to be safe. If you're Asian living in a Black community, you're going to be discriminated against. You're Arab living in a Black community, you're going to be discriminated against. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about the racism in our culture and our people.
What you
But
just
let me land my
Put
plane.
him
I'm
on
gonna land
the
my
clock,
plane.
big
Because everyone
bro.
went on.
He refused to acknowledge me.
Hold
And
on
I'm
for a
next.
second.
I'm using
I'm
my
on his
time. I
neck.
let everyone else go and everything. I'm gonna
Andre, you
continue to
said
go.
if you're Asian in a Black community, you're going to be discriminated against, but
Most certainly.
there are a whole bunch of Asian businesses in the Black community.
Yes. There are
They're
a lot
not
of
being
Asian businesses.
discriminated against.
They're most certainly being discriminated. We saw this in 2021 with the Stop Asian Hate. They try to make it towards white Americans, but no, actually, it's coming from the Black community. We see a lot of hate
That
crimes
was
coming in the Black
propaganda.
community.
That
That
was
was
fake,
not propaganda. That was reality.
fake news.
That's a big reality. You look at how Asian.
That
I
was
can
fake
go
news
up.
by the
Let me
Democrats,
tell you
by
this,
the way.
Dana. I can go up and down Detroit and talk to many Arab and Asian Americans and how they have been treated by Black Americans here in Detroit. I've been here all my life, and I've been to many predominantly Black cities, and I've had conversations. I can't wait to do more
Arabs don't
content
live
around that.
here. They don't live. They
Arabs,
don't live near
would
Black
you-
people, but they have their businesses in the Black.
here in Michigan, Dearborn,
That's
Michigan. I
different.
think Michigan, the state of Michigan as a whole,
Salute to
is the
Livonia.
largest Arab American
Salute to
population. And
Livonia.
the amount of
You need to
the
move
amount of
there.
discrimination that they
They live in
face
the
from
Black
Black
community.
people. Say
Do the
again?
Arabs
Salute to
live in the
Lansing.
Black
You should
community?
move,
Yeah,
brother.
there's a lot of Arabs that live in the Black community and do business in the Black community. Both
No, they
yes
do
and yes.
business. They don't live in a Black community.
They do. There's a lot of I know
If
that
they
live in the
lived in a
Black
Black
community.
community, then it would not be a Black community.
You know why they hold on. You know why they leave? You don't understand the demographics of the Black community. So when you
Okay,
have an area of people, Dana, hold on.
what is the percentage of Arabs that live in a so-called
Dana,
Black community?
Dana, of course we have,
What is the
tons of
percentage?
people. Hold on. Stop. We look at the Detroit's demographics, Metro Detroit and the city of
No,
Detroit.
but you're saying that
I'm
Arabs
getting down. I'm
live.
answering your question.
No,
I'm
answer my
answering your question.
What is the
I'm
percentage?
answering your question. And you're not letting me do it.
You just give me a number.
I'm giving you a
20%?
number. I'm going to break down. It said the population of Detroit, right, is 72% Black. I think it's about 14, maybe 18% white. And second to that is a lot of Arab Americans. And of course, Latino Americans live there as well. And they're sprinkled all throughout Metro Detroit, sprinkled all throughout Detroit as well. So, of course, you look at Dearborn, you look at Hamtramck.
Distinction between
Hold
white
on.
and white Euro trash.
Stop with the racism.
No, you just
You've
lost
got
me,
Arab
brother.
Americans. No, stop with the racism. Don't do the white Arab trash.
You
Stop
said
that, 'cause this
whites
is the
and
problem.
then
That's what I'm
Euro
talking about.
whites, brother. You're confusing me.
I didn't say white. What are you talking about? I didn't say anything about European.
You gave
whites.
us two subgenres of white,
No,
sir.
I did
Can
not.
you clarify?
No, I did not.
Pay
I did not
attention.
give two
Hey,
subgenres
put me
of
up
white.
next.
If you're going to
Dana,
talk
put
about
me up
Arabs,
next.
Arabs are white. I would say Arabs anthropologically are white. But
Now
yes,
you
there are a lot
calling
of
Arabs
Black, there are
white,
a lot
yes.
of Arab American. When we look at anthropologically, if we're going to go through Blumenbach or any of the racialists, they would be considered white in its totality. If this was 150 years ago,
Are you
they
Arab,
would be
sir?
considered white. No,
They're
I'm a
not.
Black
They're-
American. My family's married
so-
since the
Okay,
17th.
okay. Thank you, thank
But
you.
I want to continue on my point. There's a lot of
I need
discrimination
to correct
from
you on
Black people.
something. Arabs are not white, and race is
Arabs
a
are
social,
white.
race is a social construct. It's not
Not
biology or
necessarily, then.
science.
It is
So they're
biology.
not white.
Created in the 17th.
They are allowed to check off white here
Dana,
in America.
race
but
is
they are not
biological.
biologically white.
Yes, they are. Race is biological. It's genetic.
No,
It's not a
race
social
is a
construct.
social construct.
No, it's
Race
not.
is a social American
No, it's not.
construct created in the
No, it's
17th
not.
century, brother.
Hold on.
You're
The way
confused. You're not a historian. You don't know
And
your
we're
Yes,
being
history,
most
sir.
certainly are.
It didn't
I do
exist
know my
before the
history. Hold on. This is
1700s.
what I'm saying. This is why I'm
Judge.
talking over and I'm
Andre, I'm gonna
aggressive
ask you this question. You
because
tell
no,
me.
stop. I'm telling you right now.
You tell me.
Okay,
Where did
Dana,
you get that from? Who told
where I
you
got that. So you can
was
look at
valid?
all the racialists, Blumenbach. I'm trying to think of the one that is my favorite. I'm trying to think of my friend.
Think of
We
the
talk about
17th
this all the
century,
time.
because that's when
But
it
even now,
came
hold
up.
on, stop. When we look at white, right, in the broad sense of white, we look at genetics. Arabs are considered white. Now, when we look at
Sir,
the modern,
the term
Sir,
white only came in the
stop.
17th
Stop.
century, sir.
No, guess what?
no,
The
no, no.
way, yes,
We're
it
gonna
was
It's an
fixed in the
infant.
17th. Yes, it
It's an
was. It was fixed in that
American
way.
move on.
social
Yes, it was
construct.
fixed in that way.
We're gonna move on. We're gonna move on. We're gonna, sir. First of all, my grandkids, their father is Arab. He's not white. However, they are allowed to check white off in the census and applications, whether it's for a loan, for school. It's a social race is a social construct. You're in. You told me, how old are you? You're in your 20s. You're in your 20s, Andre.
I can't move. So
No,
I want to go back to what I was saying. I want to be able to.
no.
I want to be able to. No,
20s.
I want to be able to argue my
You're in
point because
your
I got two
20s.
different people
Hold
and
on.
I got you muting
You're
me.
in your
I'm
20s.
not able to even
The
speak.
education system has failed you.
The education system has not failed me, Dana.
Educationally,
I was educated. Let me tell you,
you.
Dana. Hold on. Let me tell you
Failed
this.
you
As much
because
respect
for
I
you,
have for your show,
for
as
you
much
to
respect for I have you and your
for
show,
you
I'm
to
trying to be able to
say no,
speak.
for you to
You're
say,
muting me and doing all these things.
people that they were disrespectful and they'll be a lousy politician. I'm telling you,
I most
you didn't
certainly
talk
did,
about
but I'm talking to you right now.
you
I'm
didn't
trying to
talk about
respond, and you've interrupted me and
you
muted
think
me.
race. No, I'm gonna let you speak and I'm gonna let you get the last
Okay,
word. But you think race is not a social construct.
not in its
And I'm
entirety.
telling you, you are not well educated. You
I'm
have
very
no
well educated. I
idea
come
of
from a
how
background of
this
very
whole
educated Black
country.
people who educated me on race and history, and I'm very much proud of their success and what they've done for this country and how they've raised me. So I'm not going to take that disrespect because I come from a
No,
family of
that
people
wasn't
who are proud
disrespect.
and
That was me
educated.
telling you the truth.
No, that's
That was me
disrespectful.
educating
That is
you
very
on what race
disrespectful to say that.
is.
I'm telling you right now. I'm telling you, Dana, it's disrespectful knowing that
What is
my background.
disrespectful? Did I
Hold
say
on.
that you're not
I'm
properly
saying it's
educated?
disrespectful to me. I'm not going to allow that. That's why I'm combating you on this.
So then
Because I
why
know where I come
are
from.
you
I
being
know where I
disrespectful
come
to
from, and I know
Gavin?
exactly the education that I hold. So I'm not going to allow that. That's why
What
I'm calling you back
education
on
do
it.
you hold?
Dana, stop. I'm trying to
No,
have a I'm trying
you
to sit back
stop.
and respond to it, and you continuously mute me and give
I'm
all this
not,
favor
no,
to all these other
because
people.
I wanted to
And
be
I'm trying to
one
engage with you.
at a time. So
I'm trying to
telling you,
engage with you and give my
I'm
point, and what
telling
you're
you
doing
you're
is you're
wrong
constantly
about
muting me.
race. You're
You're
wrong.
not telling me about race. What you just said is not factually correct.
We can look it up.
Yes,
To
we can look it
prove
up, and the modern concept of race has changed for the last 50. We
no,
know
it
this to
has
be
not.
true, but to say it's a social construct, no,
How
that's
about
not true at all. It's
Andre?
not true at all to say it's a
We're both gonna
social
go on
construct
mute.
in its entirety.
We're both gonna go on mute and we're gonna go look up race.
No, I'm gonna do it right now because I have the books in front of me. I've done this. I've
Okay,
done a
so
lot of study
I'm
on
gonna
this.
mute you. Go look it out and come
No, I
back
don't
and
have to,
tell me
Dana. I don't have to
I
look it
wanna
up. I know what I'm
I wanna
talking about. I'm a
go.
grown man. I know
Bring in a
exactly
new
what I'm
topic.
talking about.
I need to bring in another topic. So just put a
I
pin in
haven't even
that.
got to respond. I haven't got to respond on anything. I haven't gotten to
You're
do
gonna
anything. You've
respond in a
given
second.
favor to multiple people, but
No,
you
no, no.
haven't done
You're gonna
anything.
respond in a second
Okay.
because I need for you to go look up the race definition.
I don't have to look it up. I know what I'm
Yeah,
talking
you
about.
do because you're wrong.
You
It's
don't like what I'm saying. No, you don't like what I'm
something that
saying.
we're
And
both
you
gonna
being the
look it up
host,
right now. We're
you
both
muted
gonna
me and you've given favor to other people in this conversation.
I'm
And
not.
just
I'm about
showing
to bring
you
in another
most certainly have. Why do we have to move on to another topic? I want to talk
That
about
sounds
this
like
one.
a victim mindset.
because
Why do we have to move on to another topic? I
It's her show,
want to
man.
sit back and
to
go
bring
there.
in. And so Andre, so what I'm gonna do is when I bring in a new
Okay.
topic, I'll let you comment first. So in the meantime, as I'm bringing a new
I'm going to
topic,
come back to
we'll look
this
up race.
topic when we do, but
We'll
go
look
ahead,
up
please.
race. No, you're going to stick to the topic,
I'm going to stick to what I was
and
talking
then we're
about.
going to go back and talk about the race thing.
No,
After
we're going to talk about it once we bring up the
we're gonna do
topic, the
research.
next topic. I'm going to do exactly what I feel best to do because I can really care less at the end of the day.
You could care less about what race really means.
No, I can care less about what you're doing. I'm trying to speak and say something. That's what I'm doing right now.
Okay, but I'm about to mute you, and I would like for you to go look up race.
I
And
don't
then
have to.
and then when I bring the new topic, I will let you discuss on the new topic. Okay, you don't want to look it up because you know you want to be wrong.
No, I'm not wrong. I know what I'm talking about. You just don't like. You don't want me to speak because I haven't been able to
One of
speak
the
on it
things
at all.
about being, hold on for a second. One of the things about being an intellectual person is understanding and accepting when you are incorrect. And if you think you're right about everything, when you think you're the smartest person in the room, you're actually the dumbest person in the room. That actually makes someone come off as being what they would say arrogant. So if you are intelligent, like you say you are, then how about you just say, you know what? I'm gonna go look it up. You may be wrong, or if you are wrong, admitting that my mistake. And if you can't do that,
There's no mistake at all.
You can't sit up here and have an intellectual conversation with someone.
Dana, you just didn't like what I said. That's what it is. You didn't like
No,
what I was
I'm
saying.
telling
You cut
you
me
what
off.
it
You showed
is.
that.
It's a difference for me not liking and telling you a fact.
Dana, you got into the conversation when I was responding to two different people, and also
I know.
cut off
Forget
by
about
Brad
You
Man.
never responded
But
to
then
me,
you
though,
also got
brother.
into hold on. I didn't get to the rest of the people I wanted to respond to.
No, you
And
didn't have
came
me
in
in
and cut
mind,
off,
but
and I
I'm
started
next.
talking about race.
No,
I
Like
got
I
my
said,
foot on your neck.
I want to go to what I was talking about.
No,
I want to have the conversation
no.
because I can
Dana,
tell
can
you
I
that you're
can
wrong
I
about it.
can I get
I don't
can I
like
can
being
I
having
get
my
my build
intelligence
in?
insulted
Wait a
by
minute.
people.
I'm trying
And
to.
give him 2 minutes, Dana. It's
Like you did
okay.
that yourself.
Give him 90 seconds, Dana. Just
I'm
let
the
me
only
go
dissenting
behind them
opinion here,
pause.
so I'm acting this way because I know I'm outnumbered.
Oh,
I'm the
you're not
only
acting
do
no
that.
type of way except for a coon, but we listening,
I'm
brother.
a coon now because I have a different
Well,
perspective
you
on things.
insulted everybody on the platform, so
I didn't insult everyone on the
don't
platform.
pull
I
your panties to
insulted
the
people
side
once they
now.
insulted
You've been
me.
insulting
So
everybody on the
Bullshit.
platform,
okay.
so we
So
don't want
when
to
did
do
I
that.
assault someone? Please tell me when did I insult someone?
Carl, I'm
Birdman.
uncomfortable. Carl, you're
Okay.
making me uncomfortable. Dana,
Okay.
can we let him finish so I can go? Let Carl go so I can follow up.
What was Carl? I said, listen. I want to.
The opposite of Karen. That's Carl.
So because I'm bringing up the problem, like I said, I haven't heard anyone to
bring up
disprove
the
anything I was
Trump
saying or anything like that. But okay,
Nah, because I'm not even trying to rebuttal. I thought we was passing the baton back around, so I
Okay,
just
so
wanted to get my
all right.
little build in.
This
Just
is
give
what
me
I'm
my
gonna do.
little 2 minutes.
Andre, honey, I'm gonna give you literally 2 minutes. I'm gonna give Breadman 2 minutes, and then we're gonna get into Trump and the DC because that's gonna
Thank you, Mama. Thank you, Mama. And I'm ready for that. I'm
And what
ready
I'm
for
gonna
that
do,
one too.
I'm gonna mute myself and I'm gonna pull up the
Thank
race
you.
definition.
You can pull up the definition, but you're still
Somebody
not going
start
to
his
cover
time.
the
Somebody
entire
start his
history.
time, please.
I
Somebody
started
start
already.
Carl's time.
I'm gonna.
Start
It is
Carl's
kind of.
time
This is
now.
kind of showing the favoritism because you're giving me a timer. You're not giving anyone. I thought this was.
No, I'm giving everybody a time. I'm giving Breadman a timer
So
too.
he
Everybody's
wants
a
7
timer.
minutes plus 2. This
Breadman,
nigga
How
want
about
9
listen?
minutes. Come on, Carl.
I spoke once
on,
and I got
Carl.
interrupted, but I'm trying to go anyway.
Go ahead, Andre. Go ahead.
So when we look at race and we're talking about blacks and whites, that has been socially constructed because what was considered white when the founders wrote the Naturalization Act of 1790 did not include what is white today. It would include Italians, it would include people from the Balkans, mainly Anglo-Saxons, Germans, people from Scandinavia. So this is something that has been spread throughout the last century and expanded upon. When we look at anthropologically throughout history, yes, Arabs would be considered white through genetics. But of course, phenotypically, there are distinctions between that. Black people, right? We would consider Africans black in terms of their phenotypical depiction. But of course, there is a deep separation between Black Americans and Africans. So when we look at race and how they've, and this is something throughout thousands of years, people have always looked at the phenotypical differences among other people and said, this tribe is different from mine. These people are different from these people because of pigmentation, because of hair color, because of the texture of hair, because of the size of different people. We've seen this throughout Asia. We've seen this throughout almost various different places. This is just race realism. And the rejection of this is why we have such a problem in the United States. We're not understanding that race is actually real. It's important, but it shouldn't be something that we put down other people for. So when we look at the entire history of it, you can bring up all the Google statistics because a lot of academics throughout the last 50 years have shown a distinct bias when it comes to looking at race. Race has always been a real thing. There have always been phenotypical distinctions between people, and even on a genetic level. We talk about this all the time when people get race mix. They get together. We look at the health. There are tons of different things that separate us. Now, we live in the modern world. We don't live in the 1790s or the 1840s. We live in the 2020s. I think there needs to be an understanding here in the United States that there are multiple racial groups here, but we're all American, that our identity and culture is shared through centuries of unity and even struggle. And that's what makes us who we are. But we still have to understand that even if we, if say in this way, I always put it in this way, explain race realism. If aliens came down to Earth and they looked at all the different people, they're going to acknowledge that there is a difference in genetics and difference in phenotype among people. They're not going to sit back and say that, oh, we're one race of people. We're just the human race. No, because there's such a grand distinction between us, a beautiful distinction between us through human development, through human history. That's all been seen. So you can say it's a social construct when it comes to blacks and whites. That's very much true. But genetically, and I'm looking at the comments, genetically, Arabs are considered white. We look at the genetics of, hey, we're considered Negroidic, right? It's something that's very true. There is a genetic difference between these people, and there's a genetic connection with these people. North Africa would be considered mainly white. It's not black. Egyptians were not black. They were Arab, and they were connected to Greeks, which are white. You look at Jews. Jews are their own thing, but they're connected to white people. They're their own group of people, but they're connected. I'm going to go back to this point as well. Someone said something about the industries with the music. Majority of the music is
Your time's
produced and
up.
promoted by us. That's what it is. You can
That's
talk bring up the
I
Jews, but yeah,
literally
it's
gave
promoted
you
by
2
us.
minutes. I
I'm going
literally
to say
gave you
that
2 minutes. I
because I
do
finished at the
I
2
think we
minutes.
have a countdown on here too. Alright, go
Cool.
ahead, Bradman, you can respond. Wait, I'm sorry, Bradman. I had muted
Can you
you.
hear Dana?
Yeah, I can it was me. Sorry.
Number one, I want to say salute to Michael J. Fox. Yes, the nigga tried to put us in the time machine. He acknowledged the 1700s and white and black being a social construct created in the 1700s to justify chattel slavery from the Brits to the Americans. This is fact. Before then, every fucking history tells you that religion rules all. No person, no
Is that a
more
bad
call
thing?
themselves black. Excuse me, yo, you're emotional. Pull your panties up.
All I
How
said was
much
that a
time
bad
you
thing?
need?
All the
I'm
time in the
uncomfortable,
world.
Carl. I'm uncomfortable. So again, now I gotta start over. Start my time over,
No,
Dana, if you don't mind.
just go
Yeah,
ahead
because
and talk.
every time we do this, I need my
Go
time.
ahead
I
and
need my
talk.
time started over because the nigga went
Just
for
go
like
ahead.
15
Yes,
minutes
Andre,
of
go ahead, go
coonery.
ahead, go ahead, go ahead, go
Thank you.
ahead.
So salute to Michael J. Fox. He put us in that bum ass time machine, that dirty ass car. But he acknowledged that white and black was created in the 1700s as a social construct to justify slavery from the Western imperialists. I'll generalize it. The Africans, that's why they don't call themselves black now when they come here. The Middle Easterns, they don't call themselves white or black. Religion ruled all, and you need to brush up. And you're a novice. Maybe you don't know no better. I would say that the education system failed you because you have you are low IQ when it comes to religion. So the facts state, even as a country nigga from Texas, I can tell you that motherfuckers didn't ignore. I'm sorry,
Yeah,
Dana.
thank
Damn.
you. Please.
Thank you, Dana. Timestamp me, please. I apologize. Real talk. We did not acknowledge each other as colors until the 1700s. Everybody before that fought, warred, and acknowledged and separate each other off of religion and bloodline or lineage, whatever the hell you want to call it.
No,
But it
they did
was
not.
not, excuse me, yo, excuse me,
Oh man,
Carl,
no, they did. You know what? I'm just gonna do it.
Carl,
No, I'm just gonna do it because, like I said, I'm clearly
Look,
incompetent.
Carl.
Andre,
No,
Really?
they
I'm
didn't at
yo.
all. But
time
Hey,
you
go ahead.
do
Andre,
we
you
need to
have
call
to let
somebody? Because I'm uncomfortable, Dana.
you have
I
to
don't
let
want
me
to start
finish.
over, but I'm
You didn't
uncomfortable,
interrupt
Dana.
you
He's
during your
making me
time. Let me
uncomfortable.
finish. Go ahead, Bradman. Go ahead.
He's making me very uncomfortable. I'm not going to start over, but I'm very uncomfortable by the energy Carl is giving me. Your education, your Detroit education system failed you, which brings me to my next point.
It didn't.
If you're a black person and you're listening, you are free. You are free to roam and you're free to go in your person as an American. So to sit up here and watch a person give loser statistics like per capita, I just want to make my other
Birdman,
people
that's
aware.
mathematics,
Excuse
brother.
me. Oh my God. Let me press mute, Dana.
I'm gonna interrupt because
No, finish up, Birdman.
Is bread man? I'm giving
Oh,
breadcrumbs
Brad,
and
I'm sorry,
Carl.
Brad.
It's okay. It's okay.
Brad.
Excuse me. Carl has me extremely uncomfortable. I'm teaching my black people something. This is how you got to treat them. You got me uncomfortable, Carl. So as I would say, as a black man, you are free to roam in your person. That's at least one thing we've established in our community. So if a person decides to stay on top of and stay in an infestation and then complain about it, that's your fault because per capita, if we want to take the loser standpoint, per capita, black people are winning. As I told you earlier, Dana, in the 1980s, only 50% of the black community graduated high school. When you look up 2024, 81% of people coming, 81% of the black community is graduated from high school. When you go to college in the 1980s, only 22% of black people of the black community was able to go to college. When you go to 2024, the numbers don't lie, big coach. This is how you know a lot of people never played at a high level because their coach would tell them that the film don't lie and the numbers don't lie. So 2 out of 8 black people was able to go to college in the 1980s. Now we have 64%. That's almost, let's just say that's 6.5 black people that's graduating college now in 2024 are going to college. Now, again, I'm gonna try to make it light. I'm gonna try to make it light for the people, and I'm almost done, Dana. I fuck with Noah Lyles because
Yeah, stop
my
saying the F
young
word.
bulls,
Stop
yeah,
saying
my well, he went like 10 minutes, so I mean,
no,
but I'm
stop
not gonna
saying
hog the
the F
stage.
word. Stop saying the F word.
Oh, I'm sorry, I apologize. Timestamp me. I love Noah Lyles. My young bulls love Noah Lyles. I saw a panel of track stars, right? And this goes to the per capita um, comment, and then I'll go to reparations.
No, I
Um,
need you to wrap it up.
I'll wrap it up. This goes to the per capita conversation is a loser's conversation. I watched a panel of track stars try to sell to the people that the only reason Noah Lyles won was not because he was faster, but because of the rest of the field finished slower. And this is what we're dealing with in our own community. And my last point would be he is the problem. He said it himself. I'm the only one here, but it's a panel full and an audience full of black people. And this is what I tried to put y'all on earlier, that we handicap ourselves. We got the retardedens, I call them not the Republicans, the retardedens, and then we got the Demofags.
Well,
We
I
have
ain't
been played. We
Republican.
Can I?
have been
I want to
played.
respond to this.
So hold
Can
No,
on.
I
I'm
No,
not.
finish?
I'm not
Yeah.
done. I'm not done. I'm not done.
I
We
thought
have
you
the
had 2 minutes. You
retardedens.
said you were
Excuse
going to
me.
time homeboy. I got 2 minutes, but
yeah,
he's going.
that's way beyond 2 minutes, and I need to move on to the Trump conversation, y'all. Give me a sec. Converted Jew, converted Jew, and actual Jews. It's a difference. So the actual Jew, a lot of Arabs look like that. And even if an Arab looked like this Jew person over here, the converted Jew, they're still not white. So just a little FYI. But I pulled up the receipts as far as racist social construct, and it was a lot of citations to go along with it. All right. So Trump in DC. So Trump sent the National Guards into DC Monday, I believe. Yeah, Monday. And the DC and he took over the DC Police Department as well. Now, the mayor of DC, she sued the Trump administration or the DOJ, and a judge said that he cannot take over the police department, but he can still bring in the National Guard, which the National Guard is there. So she issued a lawsuit. DC sues over Trump administration attempted takeover of city police to halt the police. However, the National Guard is still there. We see this video here. You know, they're I guess questioning people. 42 to 47% of DC are black people. And you have white people make up about 30 or 32%, and the rest is other. But within that black people, you know, I think they are including the immigrants as well. I'm not sure. But once upon a time, DC was considered chocolate city. So the question, let me put this up here. And then I want to go to Maya because Maya hasn't said anything, and I really don't want to hear anything from Andre or Breadman right now. No disrespect, but I want to go to Maya and the other speakers. So the question is, are Black Americans being targeted in Trump DC takeover? And I want to play this clip here. This is from Greg Carr. He's a Pan-Africanist, part of that NARC and Cobra, whatever. But he's also a professor at Howard. And apparently Howard University is sending out a memo telling the students to carry their IDs. Well, don't you carry your ID with you anyway? So I want to play this clip, and I want us to have a discussion, and I'm going to go to Mia. first. Girl, why you ain't correct me? Mia.
Well, because it's all right.
I'm sorry, Mia. All right.
But the thing that will trigger their ire may very well be the stick. Because, see, the thing about white nationalism is finally that its overreach comes with a type of hubris that can ultimately trigger the type of response that we need. This won't change until black athletes decide to stop going to Texas and Texas A&M. This won't stop until black stop spending money. But see, they won't feel that until a supermajority in Texas, a majority of the federal legislature, like what we're seeing in D.C., starts harassing black people in the streets. We got an email today at Howard University, and I'm still in Egypt, so we return to school next week. But I got my email, checked my email, and here's an email instructing students, faculty, staff, and folks that on Howard University campus to always carry your IDs. Make sure you're in count.
That's the South African apartheid bullshit.
That is exactly right. And Roland, what you just said, brother, that is where we're headed. And I can't tell, frankly, it's hard for me to contain my enthusiasm. I welcome it. Let me tell you why I welcome it. Nelson Mandela doesn't become the president of South Africa without the Sharpeville massacre, without going to jail for 27 years. There's going to be some pain ahead, and that's where you find the heroic age. We're not going to get out of this without pain. And I really don't think that the handful of moderate Democrats, if the state caucus, black caucus in Texas were to say we're not going, I really don't think that the Democratic Party would still have the gumption not to give them quorum, because there's going to be some punk ass Democrats who are not black who would simply go in there. I think ultimately the only way this is going to be resolved is by direct confrontation. And we have passed the time when we could have used the ballot. And as Malcolm said, it may be another alternative coming up soon that we're going to have to finally face. But when we face that, then we're going to get some change. But I think this moment may be on the verge of passing, brother.
All right. So I want to go to you, Mia. What are your thoughts on Trump taking over DC? And do you think that Black Americans in DC are being targeted?
So I think it's definitely a hostile takeover. DC, is federal land. I mean, Congress owns the rights to DC, point blank, period. Congress is the gavel. They are judge, jury, and executioner. That's just how the Constitution was written, because they were afraid if they put the capital in an actual state, that the state would have more sway than the other states, which is why they created DC. However, I feel like it's messy. It should have been better coordinated. I don't think the National Guard needs to be in there. I agree with deputizing FBI agents and having actual agents to supplement the police and clean up the streets, but I don't think we should put the National Guard in that kind of precarious predicament. That is not their job. I mean, there is crime in DC. There's crime in all major cities. I'm not opposed to... My biggest thing when it comes to crime in major cities is that these are sons, these are daughters, these are nephews, these are grandsons, these are cousins, these are spouses. Why are we not cleaning up our own families? Why are we not better family values? Why are we raising people that traffic humans? Why are we raising people that traffic narcotics? Why are we raising these people like this? So it's like, every single person comes from a family. So we really need to stop relying on the police and everybody needs to start cleaning up their own families. And unfortunately, since we're not doing it properly, unfortunately, the police have to come in and do it. And most people that live in dangerous areas that are just trying to make a living, that are just trying to survive, making $1 out of 15 cents, are happy when trash is taken out. They don't want to live next to drug dealers. They don't want to live next to human traffickers. They don't want to live next to trap houses. They don't want to live next to crazy either. So I don't agree with the National Guard, but I do agree with utilizing FBI agents to help clean up the streets, because we've seen what DC police can do. We've seen what New York police can do, or lack thereof. Baltimore, Chicago, Birmingham, Alabama, Jacksonville, Florida, multiple cities in Cali. We have left it to these police departments, and we see that they are not doing a proper job. Americans deserve to live, breathe, and eat clean air, clean water, and have clean streets, and be able to walk with their children to parks. I mean, 4 babies have already been murdered in DC. 29 kids under 18 from the ages of 12 to 18 have already died this year. It's August. They've already had hundreds of murders, over 7,000 thefts, over 3,000 carjackings with a deadly weapon. This is dangerous. And we need to take care of our own community, but we also need to start realizing sometimes we might have to turn in our family members in order to get them the help that they need so they stop terrorizing other families and stop it. That's just my opinion.
It was some touchy points in there. Mia ready to turn into families, honey. That's committing crimes. I want to go to either Gavin or Divine. Do you one of y'all want to rebut?
Okay, let me just say this. Well, Dana, I don't know if you're aware, but they just had on The Guardian, it was reported that the Trump administration had been scaling back on, they agreed to scale back in part on Pam Bondi's executive order with regards to the MPD, and they've also spoken with the DC mayor, Muriel Bowser, and so forth. I don't know if you were aware of that. I was just reading it right now because there was a court decision. I don't know too. I've been to DC once. I'm aware it is a federal district, is correct. I would say also I'm not a fan necessarily of National Guard coming in. I will say this, and let me just give some people some rights on stuff. Different laws in different areas, of course. There is something called stop and identify laws, of course, in different states and jurisdictions where there is a requirement if police believe there's reasonable suspicion that someone is committing a crime and so forth, they can stop you and they can ask you for ID. However, part of the detainment is that you can't be detained for a longer period of time or anything like that. It can only be a reasonable amount. I have seen some of these videos. I'm cautious about speaking on some of them because although I've seen some of the videos where it seems like the officers just randomly coming up asking for people for their ID, which is problematic. I don't know the circumstances of how exactly some of those officers came about once. So my content and comment on this situation is limited. I am aware that presidents, and they have done this before, although it's rarely, they do call the National Guard in circumstances. They did it with Johnson did it in the 60s. George W. Bush did it in the 90s with Rodney King and another matter, of course. And now Trump is doing it. He did it in Los Angeles as well. So I'm cautious with these things, of course. Certainly, you see videos like that. I don't know the circumstance if that was actually behind all of that, if they were answering to anything in particular, why they were there. But it does seem to be an issue.
Do you think Black people are being targeted
I think
first and most?
I think Black people have been targeted by police, to be honest. I I I don't know too much about the because I'm not in DC. I'm only looking at the stories that are on X. It seems just from looking at that video in particular, and I did see this one. I don't know what the officers were doing, why they were out there, if they got a call for that or anything like that. Clearly, it doesn't look like they had a warrant. You didn't see it from the video, which a warrant would allow someone to, the police, if they have it detailed and described, to go in there. Of course, there is such a thing as warrantless exceptions that cops can even go into a home. The Fourth Amendment always applies, but keep in mind, but keep in mind something too, Dana. The Constitution should be at play at all times, even with federal officers when they're talking about entering people's homes and so forth. And everyone in particular, especially in DC, should be familiar, especially with their laws. And I think it's, with their laws and what's going on there, and educate yourself on it. I think this is an issue. Again, I think especially if someone's being harassed and so forth, or you're being stopped or detained or treated wrongfully, the one thing I'll tell you, just like I would say with these, similar with these stop and frisk policies, please get these officers' IDs, their badge numbers. Don't fight back physically. Your job is to get from point A to point B with these situations. Handle it later, even in court.
Well, if honestly, Somebody in the chat said something about Ohio has a lot of high crime rate and high drug addiction. And I live in Ohio. I don't live in that part though. But and Mark, Dana, are you looking at the comments? I glaze at the comments to make sure people are on the up and up. But if I'm not pulling questions, honey, send in a super chat. Those are the ones I recognize first and most and foremost. But anyway, I want my neighborhood to stay quiet. I don't want to see people hanging outside. I don't want to hear loud music. I don't want to see
Sure.
people littering. I don't want to see trash. I don't, whether you white, black, I don't want to see certain types in my neighborhood. I don't want to live next to them. I like police patrol. I like police presence. So if you are in an urban area, and I grew up in an urban area, and people hang out all times of the night. Things go on that should not be going on. That could be dangerous. But majority of the people that live in urban areas, they're good people. And they have kids. They want to get up. They want to go to work. They don't have to worry about anybody getting shot or, hearing shots or being robbed or nothing like that. So for me personally, if I know I've been in a high crime area, for a minute, whatever the reason may be, crime is crime. And then now you're bringing in extra hands, such as whether it's the DEA or the National Guard. When you bring in those type of people behave differently. You're not going to see people hanging out, drinking, smoking, selling drugs, shooting or whatever. That will cease. So I want to see police presence if I know I'm living in a crime-ridden area. I don't have a problem with that. And if I'm not, like where I live at now is quiet, I want to maintain that. So the question this question could be a little bit tricky. Are Black Americans being targeted?
But just sitting down on your porch on your porch step is not a crime. That's not criminal. So when I saw the video, there's another video I saw where the cops just randomly came up to the brothers and asked for their ID. That was what was problematic. What I saw. Now I don't know why the officers, if they're just walking around, fine, but stopping them, asking them for ID. And I'm not familiar with DC's per se, if there is a stop and identify statute, but I just think, yeah, that's not a crime that they were doing if they're just sitting there talking.
Right.
Can I say something?
DC is not stop and frisk.
I would like to give my input as well.
Go ahead, Mia, and then I'll go to Andre and Breadman.
Yeah, so I was just gonna say that I was watching.
I'll go to Divine after Mia. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I did watch some interesting videos on TikTok and YouTube where, as Danny, you were saying, when there is a heavier police presence, crime seems to slow down and cease. And this person had taken, the view of their street, as you could, view of their street from a month ago to yesterday. And then they did today. And it was like night and day. There was no defecation on the sides. There was no anything crazy. Shootings have been down. I mean, everything is down now that they have increased the police presence in some of the worst areas or worst streets. So, I mean, it is having the effect that it needs to have. Like, the effect is Americans, especially Black Americans in these neighborhoods, should be able to be outside and have a cigarette on their stoop without catching a bullet. Their children should be able to enjoy. Their children should be able to enjoy being outside with them without catching a bullet. I mean, our kids deserve to get air. I mean, they deserve to be able to walk to the park without their parents having to fret and having to constantly duck and walk over defecation on the streets or anything like that. So, I mean, it's not really fair to these kids, and it's not really fair to people that are just trying to live, because people need to stop treating us like we're a monolith. 99% of us are just trying to live. We're trying to survive. We're trying to make $1 out of 15 cents. We're paying our bills, and we're just trying to survive. And it is only that 1% that's ruining it for everybody else. And to be honest, I hope the police take out that 1%, because honest people live in disenfranchised areas and they deserve the chance to survive and be outside with their children. They shouldn't have to keep their kids in the house attached to a screen, which makes it even worse. And then now they have a bunch of medical diagnoses they probably wouldn't have had, but they can't go outside because it's way too freaking dangerous. I mean, 29 kids in August. So far, 29 kids. including the 4 infants, have died in DC from stray bullets, and they were all Black kids. They're dying in the streets. So something needs to be done, and we need to save our youth. And if we don't start now, then when are we going to start?
Devon?
Yeah, I would love to see that stat that Mia is citing. I would love to see that. So that's one. Two, what I would say is, to answer your question directly, are the police targeting Black Americans? At this point, we don't know, right? What we do know is that the majority of the videos that are coming out are of them policing and/or harassing Black people in DC. Now, I think there's a couple of things happening at the same time, right? Because just, I think, roughly 2 years ago, there's a video of Mayor Bowser asking for the National Guard to come in, but to be under her control, right? So let's not act like this was an invention or creation of the right wing or Trump.
Okay.
Right? So they were both asking for this, right? So let's, them, and that's my issue with the Democrats trying to paint this as, oh, it's white supremacy that they even put them in. And now Bowser was just asking for them roughly 2 years ago under Biden. So let's cut that narrative out. And so that could also be why most of the videos that are coming out are of them harassing folks that look like us, because that's the narrative that they want to paint already. As soon as these videos start to come out, again, those same gatekeepers that we've been talking about tonight, they are the ones, like just like the video you just played, they're the main ones coming out. Look at this. This is so horrible. It's talking about slave papers, and they're conflating what's happening now with this with the legacy of what happened to our people in this country to create the outrage, to try to then invoke us to come out as a collective to then fight for this Democrat agenda. So there's a number of things going on at the same time. Now, what I will say, as a resident of a state that had stop and frisk for a very long time before it was ruled unconstitutional, if what I would like to see are all the videos of these same National Guardsmen in white neighborhoods, asking them for their IDs, making sure that nothing's going on the cul-de-sac. You know what I'm saying? Making sure they're not selling any drugs in their communities, in their parks, because we understand that our community historically has been over-policed. And so when you have this concept of broken window policing, you find crime, right? And so what has happened is that our community has a history of being over-policed. But like I said, if Mia has that stat with those, kids are getting gunned down in the street, I would definitely love to see that, because that's definitely something that needs to be addressed. I know with the stat that I saw, I think there were about 100, like a little bit over 100 homicides last year, or in 2024. So that doesn't scream emergency to me. Obviously, no one should die. And I think you need emergency powers to invoke what Trump has done with the National Guard in, federal, in Washington, D.C. But that's beside the point. To the question of targeting, like I said, in New York City, where stop and frisk was implemented, it was shown that they specifically and intentionally and purposely targeted Black Americans and Latinos in New York for the stop and frisk initiative. So they were not stopping and frisking everybody. They were not stopping and frisking people at random. It was racially motivated. And they had a particular objective to stop and frisk Black Americans and Hispanics. And in fact, there was an audio that came out with a Black American officer that had some issues with the way in which they were trying to implement it. And he had stopped, I believe, he stopped and frisked a white person that had hopped the train. And his lieutenant or sergeant told him, no, that's not who we're trying to stop and frisk, right? Don't frisk them. And so you see that even when there is a policy or something that should be for the good of our community, because all of us want to stop crime, we see that the institution, going back to systemic, there is an underlying foundation of systemic targeting of Black Americans, and we're seeing that on display through the videos, right? And so if I think they're gonna be at this for 30 days, if they can't get it extended. And so I would love to see at that point the numbers that are compiled. But just call me a cynic, but I believe that at the end of the 30 days, we're going to see that same systemic bias and racial targeting in the people that they stopped, in the neighborhoods that they policed, and even when you look at some of the arrests that they have posted on their site, because they've been going around and arresting people, it's mostly black people, whether it's whether that's black Americans or Afro immigrants, we don't know off the top of our head. But what we also know is that they're being arrested for petty offenses. There's no kingpins. There's nobody that's going on a shooting spree that they stopped. These are all petty offenses that they've arrested. And so that's where I start to have an issue and lean more in toward, they're targeting like they've always targeted.
Let me respond to that. So we look at the numbers, the homicide rate.
Sir, she said I was next, respectfully.
No, I was next. So actually, she skipped over me.
Dana, she's the host, and she gave
she did. That's what I'm talking about. Dana, she said me.
Honestly, Brett, I don't know. Brett, man, you should invite Andre on your platform.
I want to be honest here. I've been muted like the whole time. I'm not able to respond to anything.
I don't know what's going on with your connection, but go ahead, Andre, and then Brett man is next.
All right. So I'm just going to say this. I've been trying to speak the majority of this panel. Like I said, I'm outnumbered. I'm not allowed to get my point across. I want to thank Mia over here. Just giving a great point. I very much agree with everything she said. I like the neutrality she has and the point she's making. But let's be honest.
How you report a nigga on this platform? That's weird.
Can you simmer down for a second? This is what I'm talking about. So we look at the per capita in DC. A lot of crime. Black people commit a lot of crime. I think it was 2023 or 2024. It was 146 murders. 136 of that victims were black, and that was in predominantly black areas from other black people. That's 95%. The population of DC, I think it's 41%, 41.4% black, and then like 41.1% white. So equally the same, with like 11% of that being Hispanic. Well, black people per capita commit more crime than the city of DC. And a lot of homicides, a lot of poor education, a lot of things that we're doing to ourselves. So we talk about the historical, they're over police. Well, because we commit more crime in our areas, because we glorify it in our music, we glorify it in education. We think that being educated is being white. And I know a lot of you sitting here telling me that I'm uneducated because you disagree with what I'm bringing up. But I did see someone bring up the fact that Jews are black, apparently, is Hebrew Israelite nonsense. Talk about my education, but that's extremely idiotic to even say that Jews are black.
Okay, hold up. I didn't even say.
But I'm not talking about you, Gavin. I'm talking about the host. I want to be able to.
Second time you've disrespected me.
Hold on. I want to be able to respond. Can I not?
This is about the second time he's done it.
And okay, so I didn't know he was referring to you. I'm thinking he's speaking in general, but you have taken.
No, it's the third time he said it.
Well, you have said things towards Gavin that is disrespectful, and he has not once said anything disrespectful. If you disagree, that's one thing. But when somebody says that you're not educated, you get offended. But you actually said, or I'm gonna unmute you in a minute, but you actually, when you said a failed politician, you taking several shots at Gavin.
No, I can speak. I appreciate it. I can speak myself. No, you said when I brought up the 400 years, which is true, that it was idiotic that I even brought it up. You called me a failed you said another example of a failed politician. I think you're a failed human being, frankly. The stuff that you said, you got up here, you've lied. You've lied about, you even said some stuff about welfare being reparations. If you did some history, there's history here. 1965, Lyndon Johnson passed the War on Poverty Act. That stuff with welfare, what you're talking about, like SNAP benefits, Medicare, the majority of those who accept those are whites. That was for the whole country. That was for the whole country. Again. So maybe if I might be a failed politician, but I didn't fail history and math.
Dude, I'm not failing history and math. I said per capita.
You
guys
said
it's a loser.
I didn't lie about anything. I didn't lie about anything. I'm not a liar.
He's a
loser.
You have not done anything successful politically. Okay, like I said, this is why I'm aggressive. This is why I'm aggressive.
Well, I was next, so let him hurry
and even the host. That's why I'm being aggressive.
You've been reporting me, Dana.
Because I'm against an entire panel of people. Okay.
He's the only one here. He's been reporting me. Yeah, go ahead, brother.
I've been quiet for the most part. I let him talk. You lied. You lied and you insulted me.
I don't want him to report you too. I didn't know that you could report people and get them calmed down on an off-grid platform, but this is a new.
What do you mean?
We've reached a new height. But let me know when it's my turn, Dana.
Hold on, Brad man. What do you mean report people?
Yo, my G, I I've been coming up and getting camped down approximately 20 times within the last 10 minutes. And
That's
I
your
see.
connection. I don't.
I'm
That's your connection. That
Yeah,
has nothing
that's
to do with somebody.
nobody's reporting you or anything like
it
that.
ain't my connection because it only talk when you know who started.
It's your
But
connection. So you're saying I'm
just
reporting
let me
you?
know
Are
when
you
it's my
being this
time.
sensitive?
Yo,
I'm
Yeah,
reporting you.
I'm about to come to you,
Is
Brett.
that what you're
Carl, you
thinking I'm
scare
doing? I'm
me.
reporting you?
Just let me know when it's my time.
I will.
I want to
Carl.
continue speaking, but someone cut me off because, like I said, outnumbered again. So the reason why, and I'm going to say this,
No,
Gavin,
you
if you
lied
can't
and
take
you insulted
Gavin, if you
people.
cannot take criticism
No,
as a
you're not
wannabe
giving
politician,
criticism. You
then
lied
you
and
have
you
failed. You
insult.
cannot
That's
take
not
any
criticism.
criticism, and you want to
That's
say it's a lie. It's
disrespectful.
not a lie at all.
It
So
is
we
a
look
lie.
at
You're a
reparations. Yes,
lie.
most certainly
You're as
is. Well,
arrogant
that
as
is
you're
most
stupid.
certainly welfare is a part of that. No, you want to sit back and say I'm stupid. That's why I say you
So
failed
white folks
politically.
getting
That's wrong.
You're
reparations.
stupid. You're
And guess
How
lying.
what?
the
Guess
fuck?
what? Black
I'm
people per
sorry, Danny.
capita
How are
receive
white
more
folks getting
reparations. They're more likely
reparations?
to be on reparations than anyone else. That's something
How
that's
are
really
white
true.
folks getting
Andre, let me ask
EBT
you a
cards
question.
as reparations? You
They're
make no
getting
sense,
EBT. Like
Carl.
30% of whites are getting
Andre,
Seventy
EBT
percent
food
of
stamps.
whites are getting
That's
it,
different
sir.
compared to
Have you been
60%
to
of
West
black people.
Virginia? Leave
I've
Detroit.
been to West
If you can
Virginia
get
is
enough
not
money,
West Virginia
if you
does
can
not
get enough money
compare
to leave.
to Detroit.
guys, hold on. I got a question. Andre, and this question's for Andre. Andre, can you please tell me the definition of per capita? I don't know. I unmuted you. Go ahead.
No, you did not. You
I-
just now unmuted me.
Yeah.
So we're looking at per head, per person. We compare this. We're looking at GDP in terms of population. You can break it down. It just really comes to an average. On average, people have this going on. On average, they're doing this. That's just mathematics. It's something that's taught all around. We're comparing nations and populations. That's what people do within money, within business. So going back to education. It's another time you guys brought up education.
Wait, Andre.
I want to go back to hold on because
I asked you to tell me the definition of per capita. Gavin, did he tell me the definition? Devon, you didn't give me the definition.
yes, I did.
What does per capita mean?
I just told you. Per head, per person. This is
No,
what per
that's not
capita
what
goes
it
back to
means.
Latin. Goes back to Latin. You go back to Latin root. That is the definition. When we look at per capita, it breaks it down per population, comparing two populations. On average, it gives you an average of, hey, these people over here. We look at crime. I can bring this up right now for DC since this is a topic. Black victims, 443 in 2023. 136 of them homicide victims, 95% per capita. The rate for that is 46 per 100,000, compared to whites, 1.3 per 100,000, compared to Hispanics, 5 per 100,000. So that's the entire function of per capita. And black people don't want to look at that. I said what the definition is. You don't accept it, just like you said that Jews are black and you didn't like the racism.
And that's another lie.
All these
I
things.
never said Jews were black.
I'm not talking to you,
You're
Gavin.
lying.
I'm talking to the host. No one's talking to you. I'm talking to the host. Let me tell you this. My
No, I'm
interaction with you
talking
is
to you.
very
You
limited
made
compared
that
to the host. I'm
reference.
not
You
talking
made
to you,
that
Gavin.
reference about
You're
the record
irrelevant to me.
label.
I'm looking at the
No,
host
you
right now. I'm
made that
engaging with the
reference
host.
when I was talking about the record
No, I
labels.
was not.
And I said, and you pointed to
I was
black
talking
skin.
to the
I said,
host
what's the
that brought
color
up an
of the
infograph
record
saying
label?
that
The people on
Jews
the
were
record
actually
label.
black. I'm not talking about you. I already dealt with that because we know that, guess what?
We
Black
know you're
culture
full of
with
shit.
black
Let me ask
people.
you, Andre,
Okay.
what are you
I'll
talking
say this, Gavin. When you run for office, I might come down there and
we need to
protest
go
like
back
I've done.
Stay on topic, Andre.
Yeah, you'll be the
I'm
only
on topic.
one
I've been
because
on
you're a
topic the
loser.
whole time, but every time
No,
I speak, you guys interrupt and you get angry when I say something. That's why I'm keeping the energy and I'm moving in the direction that I want to, because at this point, I'm not really seeing myself as a guest, but more of a dissenting
troll.
voice, and I like that. I'm a troll because I'm talking about the issues of
No,
the black
you're a troll
community.
because you sit up here. No, you're a troll because you sit
I'm a
up
troll
here
because I have a
lying. You
different perspective on
disrespected
things. I
this
didn't lie
person's
about
channel.
anything.
Yes,
And let
you
me tell you this,
have.
like I said, Gavin, if you can't take disrespect
Welfare
as a
is
politician,
reparations.
you
That's
are
a
a
lie.
weak and failed politician. That's what I'm telling you. That's a fact. You cannot take, you seem like a very weak person. I wouldn't want you in office representing me. That's why I called you
I
weak. If you
wouldn't
couldn't
want to
take that,
represent someone
that was
who's
my
a
test to
scumbag.
you. You
You're
could not do
lying.
that.
You just
You
lied.
cannot do that.
You insulted. No,
I didn't lie at all. I
Yes,
would
you
say
did.
if you can't even take criticism
And this
as a
ain't
wannabe
criticism. You just
politician,
tried to disrespect
you are going to
me.
fail, my friend.
It's
And
not
that's why I
criticism.
said
You
that
tried
you
to
failed.
disrespect me multiple. You disrespected me multiple occasions. You called me out of my name. You insulted me. No, don't unmute his mic. It's okay. Don't unmute
Yeah.
your mic.
I muted him.
No,
Can
don't unmute him.
anybody hear
Because he's
me?
been
I've been
complaining
waiting
the time.
Why can't
patiently.
we
I
have
said
the
he
back
would
and
be
forth?
quiet.
Mute him for a
And
second.
frankly,
Why can't we have the back
waste
and
Can
the
forth?
money.
Why
anybody
can't we
Waste
do
hear
the
the
money on
back and
Breadman?
forth?
I've been waiting
Waste the money on
patiently.
Bradman, you keep coming in and popping out, and I'm not doing that. And no one is. It's your connection. It's not someone reporting you because they can't report you because you're not live on your channel. It's something with the connection where you popping in, popping out. That's why.
Dana, can you hear me? Yes or no?
Yes, I can hear you when you come
So
in.
can you tell me that I'm next so I can stop popping in and popping out? That's all I need to know.
Go ahead and talk, Brad man.
No, I'll wait. I'll wait.
No,
You
'cause
know,
I think you're about to pop out again. So go ahead.
oh my God. Yo, this is crazy because I didn't want to get too far off of topics. I see like the whole deflection, the oopty wop. When we talking about DC, because we're getting away from that. And I pulled up my notes. If you can't hear me, let me know. If you
We can't hear you now. No, I don't know.
you can hear me now, right? You can hear me now, right?
I can hear you now. It's not. I'm telling you, it's your connection, Brad man. What's going on?
Okay, can you hear me? Yes or no?
I can hear you.
So again, I'm just answering to the lady because she dropped gems about DC being, federal ground and really how the Constitution works. And she taught me something that I didn't even know. That's a gem, and that's why the young ladies are necessary. She said, "I will be the buffer." Although I don't agree with everything she said, she brought education and just look up DC because she dropped gems on why Donald Trump was able to hit the black community with the oopty wop. He been working on this shit for 2 months because his own base wants the Epstein files. And the black community was the only people silly enough to bite the cheese. Yes? Let me move on. The only rebuttal I would have to her is that you could take all the crime, you want off the DC streets, but it was a white man that slapped a federal agent in the face with a salami with a salami sandwich. That's a fact. So you could get rid of us all you want, but it's only a white person that has been charged for a federal crime for assaulting a federal agent. Number two, I didn't have a problem with the federal agents, the national troops. Nigga, I don't give a damn because that is Donald Trump's backyard. He can be Kim Un-jun tomorrow and put on a whole parade, call in the whole military because that is his backyard. And he did this again to distract people from his pedophilic behavior or history. A lot of people want to run from this, but his base is not. It's only black people that are saving Donald Trump because they shucking and jiving. Third point, if you are black, you are a freed man. You could starve DC right now. There's nothing stopping you, regardless of what you hear people up here talking about. Excuse me, look, because you stay in Detroit and you're stuck there.
I'm not
But
stuck in it.
most, excuse me, a
Just
hit
go
dog
ahead
will
and
holler.
finish. I'm
A
muting my.
hit, a hit, a hit, a hit dog will holler. Most 80% of black people can get up and move anytime they want. This is a poor minority that cry, bitch, and complain. So I didn't have no issues. And salute to the brother that came up and talked about the Constitution and how things really work. But if you're a black person, you can get up and move at any time. You can catch a one-way bus ticket to your new life. You don't have to be like other people up here, stuck in a situation, crying, bitching, and complaining because we are high-level competitors. We are winning, and you are a superhero if you are still here. It's only a minority that slooge off of negativity and thrive off of negativity. They know nothing else. But 80% of the black community, I brought y'all the numbers, we don't do that. You can go wherever you want. You don't have to be there. And this where I end. Salute to the brother because I didn't have no problem with what Donald Trump was doing. The only problem that I have, and when the problem came into existence, and that's why I say if you're a black man or you're a
Oh,
black woman, excuse me,
apparently, I'm not from Detroit,
excuse me, come
and
on,
apparently, I'm too
Carl.
poor to go anywhere. So I see
Carl,
what
you
kind of
are
panel
making
this
me
is.
Andre, you gotta.
uncomfortable.
I see what kind of panel this is.
Carl is
Andre,
making
you
me
gotta. Go
uncomfortable.
ahead. Go ahead.
He's making me uncomfortable. I want to call 911. You got to beat him to the punch. I want to
Get
call
back on
911
track,
because
Brad man. Come on, come
I'm
on, come on, come
trying
on,
to.
come on.
I didn't interrupt nobody.
Just
So
finish talking.
as I was saying, we are all freed men and women. You can starve that city out by just packing your shit up and moving. But salute to the brother. I want to signify what he was saying. Washington, D.C. is not a stop and ID state. In Texas, you don't have to show ID until you are actually arrested. And so what's going on with this community is these young brothers, they call them YNs, I call them young men. They not standing for this BS. They actually putting pressure on these people, but they are uneducated with their rights, and they uneducated about their freedom and their dollar. They can catch a one-way ticket to freedom right now.
All right.
But if you don't know your rights, if you don't know the Constitution, if you don't embrace that, you put yourself in a certain situation. And I didn't have a problem with nothing that was going on. But even Donald Trump's base would tell you that's why he will only do this in his
Land the
back.
plane.
Come on, man.
Please
No, you
land the
gotta land
plane.
the
Crash
plane.
it. Do something.
You let this coon talk for 10
No,
minutes.
I
It's
did
a
not.
fact,
Bravo,
bro. The
cocoon.
line,
I haven't been able
film
to
don't
talk
lie.
at all.
The problem is, and this is the problem that I'm having. You're focused on somebody interrupted, and instead of you getting back to your point, you're like, stop interrupting me. You're being annoying, and you're taking up your time. And then you want to go and finish your point. And we're on a time frame here. So everybody lands it's like between you and Andre, y'all don't know how to land the plane and get to the point. Y'all so caught up. You interrupted me. You caught up on the wrong things right about now. And I'm being very patient for a reason. So I think that was it.
Are we really doing this?
Yes. And I can't believe you're still talking. Like, come on. I'm gonna go around and everybody will get like their closing remarks. So I'm like, it's not that hard. It's really not. It's really not that hard. I was trying to bring in something else. I'm not gonna have time to bring in the other part. I don't do that.
It's your show. Go ahead and do it.
I wanted to bring in another clip. And I'm just tired of like the back and forth. So I'm gonna bring in this last clip. Let me share this. Yeah. So I put this up on my show on Wednesday. And I want to play this and I want to go to Divine, then Mia, Andre briefly, and then Gavin.
Actually going to Africa tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow.
We're going tomorrow.
Africa.
Yeah,
Y'all going to Ghana again?
We're going to Benin,
Yeah.
Okay.
and then we're going to Ivory Coast.
What y'all doing up there?
We got invited by the government of Benin.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know if you saw, but they recently, Sierra got citizenship.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they really want to, that's the crazy thing. That's the crazy thing about, like, there's a big notion of, like, Africans don't like black people from America. That's not true. Like, of course you're going to find one or two people, but, like, they, like, how can we tap in with y'all? How can we, like, attract more people? How we can attract more investment? Like, how can we get more tourism? Like, this is something that these governments are actively trying to do. Ghana did a great job of it, but they're not the only country. We went to Rwanda. We went to Kenya. We're going to Benin. We're going to Ivory Coast. This is all invitations from private sector and the public sector
Nice.
saying, like, look, we understand the power that you guys have in America as far as on a cultural side and economic side as well. Come, like, work with us. Like, we want to have you guys here. So I just want to dispel that rumor, because that's something that has been permeated of, like, they don't even like us. They don't even like black Americans. Like,
Not true.
Yeah.
that's not true.
Yeah, it's crazy. So those trips that he's talking about, while we were there, people are trying to invite us to their country. So Uganda was on the list. South Africa was on the list. They saw that we were coming there and they respect us from the platform that we built in America. And they're like, you guys are here for business. And we want people to know that there's business taking place. So when we were in Rwanda, wait, we've never even seen this before, right? Nobody's ever talked about Rwanda. All we think about is the movie that we know in the 90s. And then you get there and it's the safest, it's the cleanest place. And I'm like, wait, how come people don't know what's happening here, right? Then we go to Kenya, it's the same thing. Now, Benin, it's their Independence Day. The president's like, you guys need to come. The Sierra thing happened last week, but they're like, I want you to see what Independence Day looks like here. I want y'all to be a part of it, and I want y'all to show people that there's business here. Same thing in Ivory Coast. This was somebody in the business world that's like, I love these guys. Can they come while they're on this side of the country, side of the world? And we're like, of course, we're here. Let's do it.
And mind you, these aren't even English-speaking countries. They speak French.
All right. What are you guys' thoughts on that? Because for me, and this is just brief because I mentioned this on Wednesday, they're talking about individuals. They're not talking about Black Americans as a collective. Different countries in Africa, when they say, oh, they want Black Americans to come there, they only want people with money and celebrities. They don't want the average middle class Black American. And why would we go, right? And if you are going to do business with Africa, as a business person and as an entrepreneur, if you have a business and, whether it's setting up infrastructure or trade, that's great. Are you going to hire Black Americans, or are you going to give those jobs to the Africans over there? Are you going to bring that money back to America to help uplift the Black community? And if you're not doing those things, I'm definitely don't agree and, don't care too much for that. So I want to get you guys thoughts. Who did I say first? Devon? Go ahead.
Yeah, this actually kind of goes to something that Andre said. Surprisingly, when he talked about the individuals that come over to different groups, and he talked about, oh, well, these Africans come over and these other immigrant groups come over and they succeed, right? So in the clip, what he said was that was most profound to me, in my opinion, is when he talked about, he said, yeah, Africans, people say Africans don't like Black Americans. It's not about like, first of all. But secondly, he said, no, that's not true. The government said, so he's talking about the governments of these African countries in the same way in which the government of our country are dealing with these population groups. And so the reason why, again, that's one of the tropes that comes out of those right-wing think tanks and their talking points is about, oh, how these immigrant groups come over and have success. One of the great things that Trump did was he exposed the U.S. aid money, right? And so we saw how many different groups and how many immigrant groups were getting money and getting propped up by that U.S. aid hustle. So this idea that we just come here, we work hard, and we just, we don't get handed anything. We just work hard, and that's how we get what we get. We already know that's not true, right? So we can throw that talking point in the garbage. But I'm bringing that up because, like you just said, it's not about personal interactions. That government didn't say, hey, we want all these personal Black Americans to come over. We want all these Black American individuals to come over. No, what he said was, we want you guys to come over because you are doing business, and we believe and we know that you will be able to attract other individuals that we could possibly make money off of with tourism, right? And that's really what the crux of this is. But then it gets painted like on a social show, like the Breakfast Club, as, oh no, they want unity with us and they like us, it's all good. No, they like our dollar, right? They like us being fuel for their economic engine. And it's the same reason why you have the talking point from Andre and those of his ilk. That's why those immigrant groups are brought over and then elevated on top of us, because we, for so long, and what's still the default status, in my opinion, of this country, is that we are what they would like to create and make into and force into a permanent underclass. So you bring these other groups in, you stack them on top of us, and then we just become nothing more than consumer fuel. And other countries understand that, they see that, and that's what they're talking about when they say, oh, we want you to come over. It's why, with the whole thing with Benin, you get the celebrities, you get a Ciara, you get a Ludacris in Gabon, you get a Michael Jai White being made a chief in Ghana. These are all people that have some level of influence in the Black American community, and these governments and these institutions on the continent are hoping that if we can get these people to be our spokespeople, if we can get them to be our quote unquote mascot for what we're trying to push, then they'll get more of the masses to buy in. In fact, this is something that has not been confirmed by me through research, so I won't say that it definitely took them out of bankruptcy, but it was at one point the Ghanaian government was in monetary straits, and that year of return in 2019 was a large contributing factor to get them back on track financially, because of how they utilized Black celebrity and other people of influence to then influence all these different tours. And then obviously you get the whole, again, back to the gatekeepers, the Pan-Africans that are also peddling this tourism and these trips to reconnect with your roots, and it's all just a big money grab.
Mia,
What's up?
what are your thoughts on that, on a video clip?
I mean, I can tell you with abject honesty, I ain't going nowhere. My garden is doing good. My mortgage is paid. I am not going back to the continent that sold us more than the white people stole us. Why do I want to go back to a place and start over? And don't get me wrong, I understand there's a lot of beautiful cities. I'm friends with a bunch of Kenyans. Ethiopia is beautiful. It's where Christianity started. Don't get me wrong. I give them their dues. But like I said, this garden is thriving. My mortgage is paid. The ground here holds the bones of my family, and I am going absolutely nowhere. They are trying to steal my money. They are trying to grift me, and I don't care. I'd rather work on my community here. And to be honest, it seems kind of weird that any Americans would want to go back to Africa. They literally sold us to the white man to bring us over on boats, and most of us didn't even make it. So why do we want to go back there? They've already proven through history they don't give a fuck about us, excuse my French. So we shouldn't give a care about them. I'm not saying I want to split us apart, that we shouldn't work together. I'm not saying that at all, but I am saying when they talk about wanting Americans to go back there, they want us to bring the US dollar and our assets over there so they can leech off of that and use that as collateral to lift up their countries through their bad, piss poor management. And we don't even want to get into their piss poor management because they don't even understand what maintenance is. But I'll land my plane with there. I'm not going nowhere. I'm staying here. My tomato plants are doing good.
Gavin.
I can go last, Dana.
Oh, that's right. I did say Andre, then you. Go ahead, Andre. Sorry. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go hot.
I think we learned from 2005 we're not going to trust the Nigerian scammers anymore. So I think we're good on that. Yeah, I'm not going back to Africa to starve and be in the river huts. And he's talking about Rwanda. They just had an entire war with the Congo, M23. So I don't know what he's talking about. It's safe and clean over there. I mean, kick rocks. This is America. You know, Black Americans have the most wealth, the most success academically. We have everything here. Why would I want to go to another continent and start over when we have everything here? I mean, I'm not doing that. If they want to come over here and try to make something happen, then that's on them. But at the end of the day, we're to stay here and make our own things happen. Now, I want to get back to a point Divine made.
Wait, hold on for a second, Andre. Hold on. I gotta get on you a little bit.
Why can't I say? Come on, can I finish my damn point? You don't interrupt anybody else.
I saw your face expression. Number one, you said you don't want to go back there. First, Rwanda, they did a 360. They wiped clean of that genocide as if it never happened, which is kind of messed up. But anyway, you set up here and glorify immigrants, how they are this and that.
I did not glorify immigrants.
Know where these people come from, particularly in Africa.
I didn't glorify immigrants at all.
And then you just said, oh, Black Americans, we have all the wealth and stuff here, but then you've been kicking the backs of Black Americans in.
No, I have not. So because let me tell you this, right? Let me tell you this. And it's funny that you interrupt me, but you haven't interrupted anybody else. Like I said, the only dissenting opinion here.
That victim.
I'm not playing the victim. I'm just calling it is. Don't do that. No, I'm saying that what it is. We're looking at what's going on. So you acknowledge that it's happening. Because I have not been able to speak as long as Bread Man or others. Anytime I say something that you disagree with, hold on. Anytime you say something I say something you disagree with, you interrupt and other people interrupt.
You've been to start.
I'm going to continue. I'm going to go back onto what I was saying because you just said something that's not true. There's been a lot of lies about me tonight when it comes to this, about my education, about me not being from Detroit or me being an immigrant. I've seen in the chat. So we're going to play this since we're about to end. I don't give a damn about the immigrant. I'm an American at the end of the day. Now, while I acknowledge that these people are coming over here and doing better, I've served with a lot of people who are immigrants who perform better than blacks and whites. Comes physically, when it came to the PT test, when it came to just focusing on school and taking advantage of those resources in front of them. Yeah, they do. Statistically, immigrants do better on testing than black people do. That is something very fucking true. Excuse my French. Now, I'm going to call out the problems within the black community because we need to, because we've been holding black people's hand and making them feel comfortable about everything and talking about all the positivity when we fail as a community. We fail in every way, shape, and form. We talk about education. Someone brought up education. The average SAT score. We talk about, more black people are going and graduating. And yeah, from failing black schools, when the average SAT score in a lot of these places is subpar to, it's close to Native Americans, which is, they have a worse social economic position than anyone else. We don't want to talk about that. We want to kind of complain about our own selves all damn day. So I'm not sitting here glazing the immigrants. I'm very anti-immigrant. I'm for mass deportations. I'm for a 50-year moratorium on legal immigration so we can focus on our own people here in the United States as an American nationalist. So I don't care about what's going on over there. However, I will acknowledge when these people come over here and they are successful. I've met plenty of successful immigrants. I've met plenty of successful Black Americans. I've served with many, and I've worked and done business with a few. I'm proud of seeing that. I can acknowledge these things as they exist. I can acknowledge two things at once. I'm not going to sit back and say, oh, these people are just, they're all the same. I'm not going to work in that way. You may do that with white people and everyone else, but I don't think like that. So I want to acknowledge there's a class and an age gap here on this panel. And it's obvious. And this is the problem we have in the Black community. We have older Black people that are off the rocker, that should be on the pills and in the retirement home, that have no understanding of reality, have no understanding of the world. Their understanding of the Constitution of politics is very limited. And it's quite sad that these are our leaders. These are the people who are going to be leading us in the next 10 to 20 years. But hopefully that ends. We've got Gen Z and the latter part of millennials that are coming up, and we're very radical about solving these problems. We're very aggressive about solving everything that we can within the Black community and the United States as a whole. So at the end of the day, I know I'm right and I know I'll win, and I'll be confident and arrogant that until death, as I've always been. For the last 6 months, I've been gaining 70 million views on TikTok and about 10, 15 million views on Instagram talking about the problems in the Black community. We're going to continue to do that and continue to be harsh and aggressive towards people like this on this panel that have spouted nothing but pseudoscience and garbage and so on. So yeah, there we go.
White supremacists have huge followings too. I just want to make that clear. You're spouting off your views. That don't mean you're right. That just means you found your tribe.
My tribe is mainly Black people. A lot of Black people watch my content.
I bet they do. There's a lot of right-wing Black folks in the
not right-wing. I'm not. Let me tell you this. I'm far right, but I'm not a Black conservative. I'm a nationalist. But there's a lot of Black people, normal people that watch my content. Divine.
We have proven tonight. You spout the same right-wing talking points as white supremacists, brother.
What's wrong with What's wrong with being right-wing? Tell me what's wrong with being right-wing.
It's not age. It's not a generation gap.
What's wrong with being right-wing?
As your predecessors.
What's wrong with being right-wing? Tell me that.
No, there's nothing wrong with being right-wing.
America's a right-wing country. We're more right-wing than anyone else in the Western world.
Very different. Right-wing is okay. It doesn't matter. You know, I don't down anybody for whether they're right-wing or left-wing. You're talking about right-wing. You're spouting right-wing white supremacists. Talking points.
I mentioned per capita and crime. Those are statistics that are valid and can be looked at by anyone.
Like Breadman said, per capita is a loser's talking point.
No, it's not a loser's talking. It's mathematics.
Guess what? Per capita, 100% of women have all the babies. Why is that?
Because biologically, that's why they can have babies. What are you talking about? That's not the same as crime and education.
Capita only works when it's a equal.
That's a dumb comparison.
Outcome. Yes, it is.
So what you just said is a dumb comparison. You compare women having children.
Why do you always call stuff dumb?
Because that's what it is. I'm being honest. It's dumb. It's stupid. Why would you sit back and say that?
Why? I don't understand.
They really believe that, like you said, they believe they're the smartest people in the room in any group that they're in. These people are morons. They all spout the same things, but they think they're smart. They all think they're independent thinkers, but they all say the same exact thing. That's why I knew he was going to say reparations is welfare. Why? Because everybody on that side of the line says reparations is welfare. Like nothing he's saying is original. Nothing he's saying is nothing we haven't heard before, right? And to bring this point home, because he said something earlier and I wanted to correct it. He said there's no systemic racism because guess what? We are able to talk how we want to talk, and we have Black neighborhoods that are ran by Black people. Guess when we also had that? Guess when we were able to talk about white supremacy and talk about it boldly and in person? During Jim Crow, during the times of Frederick Douglass, during the 1910s and before that when they were destroyed. So we always had these communities and we always been able to speak truth to power. That doesn't mean white supremacy didn't exist then. I hope you wouldn't say that. See, this stick is old, right? It's all full of debunked talking points and none of it is original. And so for him to have, I got 70 million views. Yeah, there's a lot of white supremacists in this country. Like there are. It just is what it is. So you have a particular base of people that like your stuff. That's who they are. And that's okay. I'm not knocking it. I'm proud of you. Keep doing your thing. But let's not act like it's because you're right. Let's not act like because you're so smart. Let's not act like it's because you're educated. Because you're saying the same shit that everybody else is saying that came before you. That's all.
You're not muted, Andre. What are you talking about? You're not. You muted yourself. You're not muted.
And now he about to play victim. He
Yeah.
gonna pretend.
I'm not muted. You're muted. You've got me muted.
No, you were not
Yes, you
muted.
got me muted.
You were not.
Yes, you do. You got me muted. You've got me. Yes, you just unmuted me. You've been doing this entire time, host. No. Dana, hold on. Let me say this.
So
You wanted me to come on this platform, and nothing. All you've done is sit back and muted me. I'm coming on here. I'm outnumbered. The only person I've had close to my ideas, which I respect, we disagree, is Mia. I respect her platform and what she's been saying. Shout out to Mia. But you've muted me more times than anything else. Every time I try to respond, I get interrupted. You don't like what I'm saying. You disagree. You mute me. That's some shitty hosting right there. But you want me to come on your platform. That's fucking disgusting that you would sit back and do that. This is the problem with black people, especially older black people like yourself, that you guys don't have any solutions to anything. When I provide solutions or I bring up critique, what you people do is gatekeep. You bring up education, you bring up the wealth that you have, you bring up all these other things. Well, here's what I'm bringing up. I'm bringing my audience and the people that I have that support me. And they're not all white supremacists. They're black people, hardworking, working class black people that are tired of this disconnect, that are tired of this gatekeeping that's going on in our community. This is something I agree with other people like Nick Fuentes who brought this up. There's a class divide in our country. There's a class divide in our nation, and especially from the black community, there's an age and class divide. When we got these types of people, you got a failed politician, a fucking failing podcaster, and this guy over here that keeps talking about white supremacy and blaming everything. That's why I'm cussing this out. This is why I'm saying what I'm saying, because you continuously mute me each and every time. That's why I have no respect for you people, and will never have respect, and continuously will be aggressive in combating you. That's all I have to say. That's all I have to say. It's not about being a victim. I've been up here this entire time, and I've been muted more times than anybody else. I'm going to continue. I'm going to continue. I'm not faking. When people saying I've been faking being muted, I've been muted this entire time, all the time since I've been up here. I've been attacked this entire time. When I make a point, you don't like it, you disagree. Guess what you people do? Guess what you people do? You mute and you sit back and install. This is why we don't have any respect for people like you. Black liberals and black conservatives just the same way. No respect. Your time is coming. So that's why.
Go back to 4chan.
Go back to 4chan. There's nobody on 4chan. 4chan is a dead platform. Andrew, I have my own platform. I have done my own work in the black community. I've done my own work helping people. I've served my country. I've served my community. I've done these things because you know what? I care about the place I live. I care about the betterment of black people. People like you just want to cry about white people all day. And this is why black people are failing.
Sell out, serve. That's all. Sell out, serve. Thank you for your service. With the shit you're doing now, we not the group that's going to thank you for this. So you could take that somewhere else. He about to cry. He gonna cry. He gonna
cry again.
He gonna cry in the car.
He's about to cry.
He's gonna go cry in the car.
Now, nobody's crying at all. I'm just calling it out. See, this is.
Let me just say something. Let me just say something. Go ahead, Gavin. Go ahead.
Okay. First off, he said a failed politician. This is actually the first election I'm voting, so I don't think you can be failed if you've never even tried. So that's stupid. Again, that's on his part. This is part, and I'll be honest with you. I'll say this here because I consider you a friend and so forth. But next time when you want me on your panel, I need to know. Let me know. Give me a heads up who's going to be on here. But let me just say this briefly to get on the topic with the Africa. I want to stay on the topic because it's where I know we're over 2 hours. There have always had black and something I think the brother had stated earlier. There's always been black celebrities that have reached out and gone back to Africa, made chieftains. Biggest example in his the anniversary of his death just passed. Isaac Hayes was made a chief in a tribe. Michael Jackson was even made a chief in a tribe before. So that has always happened. They've, does it surprise me that they recruit those people? And I don't know too much about it. I've been indifferent on stuff like that. I think for people who individually do it, that's a great thing for them if that's what they feel and feel a connection with it. We do know that, yes, this country, especially the countries, especially in Africa for years, of course, they suffered from colonialism and mass genocide. Those were things that happened. And also part of another problem too is they also suffered from, and I'll be fair, they suffered from corruption as well. That has plagued that area. Keep in mind though too, Dana, some of the foreign aid, the foreign aid that's tied, the African countries, they depend on foreign aid from the United States, from the Western world. So I know this for a fact because I did looking at this information, like in Nigeria, They actually had to, the Obama administration at the time wanted them to, according to one former congressman, wanted them to actually start to lean back on some of the what they call the anti-LGBT or abortion laws that they had if they wanted to receive aid. That stuff has gone on. So it doesn't, the issue of blacks celebrities who are going to Africa, I haven't thought anything of it in truthfulness, but I think that was an interesting point to bring up to you with what you played from the Breakfast Club. So
No, I appreciate you saying that. All right, so that's it for tonight. I guess Andre got he tired, honey. I guess he playing that victim, and that was his grand closing, I guess, unless he popped back in. But thank you, Andre, for coming on. I do want to say thank you to him, but I also want to say, okay, there you go. Yes. I was saying thank you for coming on, Andre. I appreciate you coming on.
Good time coming on.
But
so
I
appreciate
do
that.
not appreciate you calling people on this panel names at all. And you know what? I don't even care if you say, "Oh, you're a bad host," whatever. I don't care if you're talking to me. But when you are blatantly disrespecting other people up here, and especially when they have not disrespected you, that says a lot to your low grade character. And I am going to throw. Apparently, I heard you was 24, 25. You're in your 20s, so you're still kind of young and silly. But well, ain't no but. You need to, if you want to be an intellect, you sound like you have good diction, but good diction doesn't mean you're smart, you're an intellect. But if you want to be an intellect, you need to stop name calling and stop playing a victim and stop acting like you know everything, because it was some things you said that was cool, but when you're trying to say stuff as facts like race is biological, is not a social construct, which is wrong. Arabs are white, which is wrong. You said several things which were just inaccurate. But with all that, and that's even fine, because I don't want an echo chamber up here. But never ever disrespect another panelist. So I want Divine. I appreciate you as always coming on. I want to highlight what you're doing, your organization, because that's tomorrow, right?
Yes, that's actually tomorrow. So tomorrow we're gonna go. Well, we're not gonna be talking about race, but tomorrow we will show why race is not biological, right? We're gonna be talking about data disaggregation and how this country categorizes race and ethnicity, and why that's a huge problem with the Black/African American demographic, with the various people groups that we kind of discussed tonight. So that's going to be it's a hybrid event. It's going to be in person in Queens here in New York, at the address on the screen, but it will also be, I think it's cut off at the bottom a little bit, but there is also a Zoom option. So for those that are not,
Yeah, that's no the Zoom meeting ID
oh,
and the
yeah, my screen. My screen. Yeah, I see it. My screen is cut off. My bad. With the way I had to keep. Yeah. So anyway, yeah. So right. So it's either you can come in person or come virtually. We are going to discuss what's going on in New York. Even if you are not in New York, there are ways that which you can still help out and promote that this government disaggregate the data and get valid and more accurate data sets so that we can actually get the outcomes for each community that they deserve based on political advocacy and of the like. So that'll be tomorrow at 2:00 Eastern Standard Time.
yes, virtual or in person. I will encourage people to go and participate. Check it out. I put everyone's social media handles in the description, and I put the link to this website in the description, and I'm gonna put that in the comment section below as well. So thank you.
Can I say one thing?
Yeah, go ahead.
So yeah, and so another reason why data disaggregation is so key, like we're starting to see the delineation movement, right? And delineation is essentially distinguishing one thing from another. But disaggregation is the same thing, except that's the term that it's used when you're talking about data sets, right? So you're still distinguishing one group from another, but it's just in the way data is kept and collected. And again, I know we kind of got off in the weeds a little bit with whether race is biological or a social construct. We know what it is. She put up on the screen. But whether you agree it's biological or whether you agree that it's a social construct, the bottom line is that race-based policies in the United States of America are unconstitutional either way. And so that is what data disaggregation solves. Because currently, especially when we're talking about the Black/African American community or demographic, that has been deemed and made a racial category since 1997. And that's why there is no way currently writing legislation with Black or African American to create legislation that is constitutionally sound that will not get challenged by the right wing currently. So that is why you see legislation being written with underserved, historically marginalized, and all those other buzzwords that don't mean us. And so we're going to be teaching tomorrow how we can get legislation that does mean us, the same way other demographics in this country get specific legislation just for them.
Gavin,
All right, Dana.
I appreciate you coming on, Gavin.
Of course. Thank you for having me come on. I appreciate it.
What are you doing? Gavin, first of all, you're an attorney and you're also running for office. I did
Yeah.
not know you was running for office.
Yes, I'm running for council person, District E in New Orleans East and Lower Ninth Ward. We're trying to turn this area around. I'm an independent. I'm doing wonderful things in the community, trying to do wonderful things in the community. You know, in New Orleans, just recently, the mayor, I should just say, Cantrell just got indicted. And a lot of people are frustrated, especially with the way that the city has been run, the corruption that we've seen, how we're not getting the most for our dollars in our areas, which is whatever fool. The most for the most bang for our buck, which has happened, and people are frustrated. And I think that we have to turn things around as a community, and that's what I intend to do as council person. So that's something that I've been doing. Yes, and working as an attorney. I've worked as a public defender uh, in St. Tammany Parish, which is some work I've done there. I've also worked in private practice with family court, and I also do a lot of social work around the community. So I'm trying to give back, and it is a sacrifice running for office, but you know the pleasure of seeing our neighborhoods get better, and especially helping our citizens is a joy. So that's why I'm doing it. It's a sacrifice.
I appreciate you, Gavin. Definitely want to have you come back on. We'll talk. We'll talk. We'll talk. I'll call you. I'll give you a call. Actually, I'll give you a call as soon as I end the stream. And of course, Devon, I'm definitely going to have you come back on soon as well. Andre, thank you for coming on, but I don't appreciate the insults.
If
However,
you can't take the banner, that means that you're gonna have a very hard time podcast. Same with Gavin. If you're gonna
well,
be a politician,
Don't
you have a
address me,
very hard
man. Shut
yeah,
up and just address what you're saying.
don't address anyone. And
Okay,
I believe I've been podcasting longer than you. I don't need your guidance or your advice. You cannot sit up here and when I say insult, you literally call somebody out their name for no reason.
And turned into a Carl.
Breadman, people were being irritated by you too in the chat.
I went back and looked at the playback and I read all comments, but I'll reserve mine. My hands are up.
So thank you, Breadman. I appreciate you coming back on. Anything you want to say briefly in closing?
Yeah, I went back and just to catch myself because salute to my man's, he said he gave me the script already. Big Coach tried to give me the playbook. He said, "Don't be triggered," and I did feel like I got outside myself. So I calmed down. I went back. I looked at the playback, and it is certified. This is a Carl. When I say a Carl, it is the opposite of a Karen. And I'll end with this. These people are the main issues with our community. When we started the conversation today, you asked us, Dana, are we systemically being held back? I said no. I said politically, we are handicapped. I gave you numbers to substantiate, to show how the black community is competing at a high level. When I go back and listen to this playback, it's low IQ, emotional slaves to political parties like Carl. On the Democrat side, I call them Demarags, replace the R with an F, Demarags, and I call the other people retardicans because we are all black up here. But this is the only person that came up here and said, I'm the only one. And that's the main problem in our community. That's why we can't get reparations right now. That's why we can't move the stick further, the goalpost farther, because we are working against ourselves. You got people out here with one arm, one leg, one eye, because they get up here and coon and buffoon for one or the other party when we are all black. And it pins you in the corner when you pull your panties down to force you to insult your own brethren instead of pushing a conversation. Dana, you one of the only people that I know on Spaces, on YouTube, on whatever, that actually takes the time to try to facilitate a conversation or a dialogue between opposing parties, gathering parties, polar opposite parties. Salute to Judge Joe Brown. You one of the only people that's doing that. So I cherish these type of platforms. So go back and listen to the playback if y'all think that I'm listening. I had to calm myself down because I did feel like I was getting beside myself. This is the problem. Stop pulling your panties down in front of your own community and working for a party that's not working for you. And that's on both sides. Your vote, your stance should be your own business. But we are here to talk about black business. And so when you separate yourself in a slum like Detroit, acting like you a slave on a plantation that can't go nowhere, and you blaming all the black people around you, when we really know what's going on in this world, you are the problem because you have already excluded yourself from the conversation. The last thing I want to say is it's all about the rights. That's the only thing I wish I did. I wish I could have got in on. And I think the brothers did a great job breaking down stopping ID states, knowing your constitution, knowing your rights, when you should ID, when you shouldn't ID. I don't have no problem with what they're doing in DC. But if you're running in people homes without a warrant, if you're stopping people without a reasonable suspicion of a crime and you're forcing them to ID, the only thing that I would tell them people, and I would educate people like Dana, I wish we could bring the Black Panthers back, but they took the guns away and they changed the laws. But we need people to educate these young people because they are handing out lawsuits and they're giving out free money. Document everything because you can't get around it violating people's right. And I just wish that these young people was educated. And with that, I yield. Thank you, Dana, for the space.
All right. Thank you. Appreciate you. All right, guys. And thank you, everybody that came on. And thank you, people that sent in super chats. Thank you. L says Andre is a blackface token for alt-right group in Michigan, and he is a tether, FYI. I don't think he's a tether, but what you saying, Devon? I didn't mute nobody.
Oh no, I thought somebody was coming with receipts. I thought he was a teller. I was about to say, oh shit. Like,
Keep playing a victim, Andre.
You muted me. You muted me. You muted me. Now you just unmuted me. See, that's what I'm talking about, Dana. That's why I just said you've done this multiple times.
Are you an Afro-immigrant, Andre?
My family's been here since 1740. Regardless, it would not matter at all.
Just ignore it.
My family's been here since the 1740s and have served in almost every conflict in this country.
All our families been here since the 1740s. We're talking about your
my
family.
ancestors came from.
We all been here since the 1740s.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
Dana,
anyway,
you look good as well. You
anyway,
look stunning tonight.
What I was saying, this is the type of rhetoric that comes out of the black community. It's gatekeeping. You can't say anything. If you disagree, you're coon, you're tether, all these other things. Like I said, we got 2 people on here who are doing absolutely nothing, most destructive things for the Black community.
Okay.
You
Thank you.
got one leg, you got one eye, and you got one arm. We can't hear you.
All right, hold on. Thank you, Alonzo. Will someone please discuss what the real agenda is with Trump's move, economic seizure, or what? Lots of contracts that Black people have there. That's going to be not next week, because next week we're doing the that's going to be a doozy next week. Next week I got to do the natives. Naeem, he wants to do We Were Here, didn't come from Africa, and I got to have a group of people that say no, we were brought here enslaved. that's so that's gonna be next week, and y'all not gonna be part of that, because but I do want to bring you guys back for the conversation on Trump, Black contracts, Trump economics, and how it affects Black America. Thank you again, Alonzo. Andre, enjoy your platform for now. The white supremacy are emboldened to say what they want to. Your kind animal that rummage in trash at night. Time is about up. Thank you, Alonzo. All right, guys. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate everyone tuning in.
Dana, just quickly, someone asked for my social. It's elect G for District E on Instagram. So
Okay, I'll put your YouTube in the description.
sure.
I will put everyone's stuff in the comment section as well, but I'll add your IG in the description too.
And yeah. All right. Thank you.
All right. Have a good night, everybody. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Bye, guys. This was interesting. I'm just trying to do a mixture of guests, and so I could get a regular panel going on weekly. But everybody have a wonderful weekend. I will see you live again Monday. But make sure you look out for the uploads, subscribe, like, share, and have a good night. Bye.